That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Left, beat left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah!
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yes, Zach Wheeler.
It's always part of the fun around here, isn't it? We never know what the hell we're talking about. And we never know. We never seem to know when the video is going to play or if it's going to go live when we want it to. So instead of getting yelled at for like dead air time, I figured at the very least, I'll try to make sure we're saying something. I figured I'd have at least 5 seconds to get Daniel, Bryce Baum, and Schwarber Baum in there. And we didn't even have time for that. But what are you going to do? Man, Phillies are rocking and rolling in San Diego at the moment.
Yeah, man.
Bryce got it started in the fourth, a 0-0 game at moonshot home run to left. Hey, now Schwarber hit a ball 500 feet into the upper deck in right field.
I think it landed in the Pacific Ocean with how high it went.
He might have hit it across the border. The Schwarber ball might have gone across the border. I'm not sure. I mean, if the bleachers weren't there to stop it, I'm not sure if it would have stopped going. You know, and Wheeler's got like a Maddox, Greg Maddox type game going on. 82 pitches, 2 outs in the 7th. I mean, you just let him keep throwing until he's no longer effective because he's just dealing right now. One hit, 7 strikeouts.
He's at 82. You got Yu Darvish, who's at 95, and I can only imagine they might look to take him out after like one batter.
Got him. Boom. 1-2 breaking ball at the knees. Punch him out. Let's go to the 8th inning.
Boom. That's clutch.
He's just good stuff.
That's what you want to see. That's why you paid the money for him. He's your ace. You got him and Nola. If they keep pitching the way that they do now, and that's great for him. Especially
what a time to be a Philadelphia sports fan, Daniel. Can anybody lose in Philadelphia? Can anybody lose at the moment? I mean, the Eagles are undefeated. The Flyers just won again. Are the Flyers 3-0? Did they just beat the Lightning tonight? Is this some sort of crazy dream? What is going on there? John Tortorella, of course. Look at this guy. Walks into the building, takes his belt off, threatens to beat people's asses with it, and next thing you know, got to beat these kids into shape. But, hey, it's working.
Yeah, they're down 2-0 to the Lightning. They came back, tied it up at 2, and then I believe Cates came in and put them up 3-2, and that's what the finish was. So the 3-0, which is a good start to the season. Still not going to get my hopes up on them because you know how the Flyers have been very streaky.
Yeah, you just want them to overachieve, right? You're just like, okay, like overachieve. Don't be awful. Like let's be better than what people think we were going to be. But really, this guy really is it. Like kind of like it makes you like it feels like it's like when your mom told you if you fail this test, I'm gonna beat your ass when you get home. And it's like, oh shit, like I better not. Like this is okay. Like you better make sure we go past this test. Like this is what this feels like. Yeah, like everybody's kind of scared. Like I don't want this dude on my ass. This guy's kind of aggressive and intimidating and hurts your feelings a little bit. You should go perform. Makes you want to give that little extra effort that you need out there.
But
the Eagles, listen, by default at 6-0, the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. Nobody else is 6-0. You know what I mean? So just look at the record. We got to be the best team in football, right? With the Phillies and the Eagles and the Sixers, they won tonight, I think, right? Last time I looked, they were winning, right?
Sixers lost, I believe.
Sixers lost. See, they fucked up the Philly trend now. Right? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the Philly special. If you're betting that, you're looking good for a while until the Sixers
bet all 4.
Shit the bed.
You know what?
But of course, the poll question of today is the Eagles are the best team in the NFL so far this season. Agree or disagree? Before we talk about that, you basically hyped up yours. How about you tell everybody about Creative Window Design Center?
Creative Window Design Center. Serving New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Florida with fully authorized 100 Douglas dealer. Contact Jeff at 609-226-0391 for a free consultation. So this is a new sponsor. I mean, the Creative Window Design Set must be one of our new sponsors.
Yeah,
so
and of course we
nobody
have to
told me about it.
Yeah, we
Wish
have to
I
show
would've-
love to this guy. So
I love how I'm kept out of the loop on things. I don't know who's sponsoring what anymore and who I'm supposed to be plugging. If I'm supposed to give a plug, I need the information to give the proper plug.
Yeah.
Jesus. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, lots of craziness going on with that market. Just ask Tom. He's a guy that's bought a new home recently and is going through this whole process, and he'll tell you everything about the brokerage or the realty company that you're working with. The realtor that you're working with is important. If you're looking to buy or sell a home or looking for a change in career brokerage, you contact Alan Foy of eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820 or visit him at alan.foy of exprealty.com. Now more than ever in this market with, I just bought a car and interest rates are through the roof. Everything's crazy. Same thing with houses. And now more than ever, that realtor, it's important making sure you're with the right guy that's going to get you the best deal. Alan, I'll give you my word that Alan is, from a character and moral, a moral compass perspective, by far the best person I've ever met that works in sales of any kind. Most of those people, you're like, I couldn't trust you as far as I could throw you. And he is a genuine, good dude, great heart, cares about you as a person, and not just about, trying to make money off of you. And that's the type of people you want to do business with. You don't just feel like a number on a piece of paper, right? You feel like somebody that there's a relationship there. So known Alan for a long time now. Think about how old I am, Daniel. I mean, known him for like 15 years now since high school. That's not good. It means I'm old now. I look like Shakira? Well, thank you.
Yeah. What's up, fam? Fun night of sports. Definitely is. Majority of the teams won or are winning today. Of course, 3-2 Flyers win. You got the Phillies up 2-0 top of the 8th. And, of course, the Sixers had the lead, and they squandered it.
Need to get an insurance run.
That's what would be good. It definitely would. But, of course, going back to the poll before we get back to the Phillies game, I'm going to agree to the poll. Just like you said, they're the only team in the league 6-0. I would think 1, 2, 3 would have to be the Eagles, then the Bills, and then the Chiefs. Just with how we've been playing, the Bills did lose, so I think that knocks them down a peg. We are 1-2 with them in points, I think, per game total. Defense-wise, I feel like
the Bills lead the league in points per game, though?
I think they lead in points per game by a little bit. That's why I said it's 1-2. Yeah, and then we're number 2, I believe. But
go ahead.
Yeah,
Finish.
But I just don't like how we are overall as a team. We can run the ball. We can pass the ball. The one weakness I feel like with the Bills is the running game. They were looking pretty good with Singletary, but like when it comes down to it, they rely a lot on like the passing game. And I like how we can. If you looked at the fourth quarter in the game against Dallas, where we were kind of slacking off for the third quarter, come in there, we woke up and we ran, I think, 5 straight times, got 2 first downs, and then we just seemed to be like, okay, we got to go back to the power running game, and it worked. I feel like we can do that, and if there's a 4th and 1, we had the thread, the quarterback sneak, and the running game where I feel like Buffalo doesn't. And with our offensive line, I like our offensive line better. I do feel like the Bills are a team that needs to prove themselves in the playoffs. We do too, but I still go the Eagles 1, the Bills 2. Had the Chiefs 1, I would have them 2, and then the Bills 3. But boy, yeah, we'll get into that a little bit after that. But I'll
play devil's advocate because I I think obviously we're really good, and obviously I'm excited, and I would love to sit here and realistically say, yeah, we're the best team in the NFL. But I just think top to bottom, I still think the Bills are by far. Like I think everybody's trying to play catch up to them right now. They've got the best offense in football, and then that defense is pretty damn solid too. And they're just really well coached. Everything about like it's all been put together now. It's for a couple years. And they kind of just seem to be peaking, at the perfect time. Like it's kind of their year where you went and looked at it and said, if anybody else won it this year, you'd almost be like, man, like it's a little disappointing, if you would be Buffalo and you look at kind of like where they're at compared to, I think everybody else in that conference. The Chiefs are good, but the Chiefs defense, they don't really need to run they can run the ball, but they just don't really need to. I mean, when you can sling it around the field and Stephon Diggs is always open and shit. I mean, but they don't. I mean, but Josh Allen will sit there. I mean, he can run the ball at will and get whatever yards he wants because like he's just it's hard to tackle a guy that's that big and strong. They can run the ball. They're a complete football team. We're not a complete football team yet because we haven't played 2 full halves. So I mean, until that happens, I still got to give the nod to the Bills there.
Well, technically, I feel like with the Bills didn't play 4 quarters of a good football there.
That was a phenomenal football game with probably the 2 best teams in the AFC. Yeah. So I don't like. I mean, the Bills were moving the ball all game, and the Chiefs were moving the ball early as well, and then. Both like the Bills turnover on that first drive was fluky. That was a little weird. Mahomes makes a poor decision throwing the ball into the end zone. It's just back and forth type of stuff. I mean, I didn't necessarily feel like teams like played poorly or anything like that in that game. It's just those teams know each other really well, and this is kind of like think about it. They're going to do battle a lot now over the next few years. It's probably going to be a rematch of the AFC title game, or at least you hope to get a playoff rematch of some kind from last year. It's just like. You're looking at, what is probably the 2 perennial AFC contenders right now until further notice. So, I mean, that's good stuff for me. I mean, like the Bills, I mean, you've watched them stomp teams. You've watched them, come from behind and beat a team like the Ravens. They got beat by the Dolphins, who are a little bit of a mess right now with everything going on with the QB situation. But at the time, they look like, the team in the East, in the AFC East, that was kind of like, look out, they could be really good too. And now you're kind of wondering what they could be, but they've got a really good defense, to go along with everything they're doing offensively. I mean, right now the Bills have 1 loss and it's by 2 points, right? So at the end of the day, they're 2 points away from being undefeated too, right? So it's, and until further notice, when I look at them, I go, that's who everybody's chasing. But that's also not a bad thing because that's a really good team to be chasing. If you're like, hey, we need to get better. We need to be on the Bills level. Okay, good. I like that. You know what I mean? That's a good attitude and mindset to have.
I just think
best team in the NFC, though, definitely. Best team in the NFC right now by far.
I still have the Bills, too, because the Bills, when I look at them, they can't keep leads.
The Bills have us covered in every position. I mean, like, it's – Stephon and AJ are like very, like you got star receivers. Now our supporting cast of receivers better than what theirs is. But Allen's probably the best quarterback in football at the moment. When you're just using your eyes and watching what he's doing, you're just like that guy. He's just unreal. He's on another level.
I think that's
we're better at running back. We're better at running back.
I think that's the only position that
and we're probably better. Have on us. I'd say we're better at running back, and we're better at, with the front 7. But that Bills defense in general doesn't get enough credit for just how good they are because everybody looks at their offense and sees Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and goes, "Oh, look how sexy they are." That Bills defense is legit, like top 5 legit.
It is, and it's coached well, but they give up a lot of yards. They give up a lot of points. It's just that they get a lot of turnovers, so it's kind of like
how many? I mean, did they really give up that many points? I mean, they get 21 to Miami. They gave up 21 to Kansas City. I mean, those are offenses that have been explosive that they've held to like low numbers of points. You know what I mean? Like,
I wouldn't say that's low in the 20s.
If you're keeping an explosive offense under 30 points, Like explosive offenses score 30 points. So when you're having them score like they're struggling to score 20 on you, yeah, that's legit. When explosive offenses struggle to score 20 points on you, because most explosive offenses are putting up close to 30 a game. So when they're struggling to score 20, yeah, you're pretty legit.
Well, yeah, 10. The Titans 7, 19. 21 to the Dolphins, 20 to the Ravens, 3 to the Steelers, and 20 to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean they've allowed 20 points. Like that's that defense is legit. You know what I'm saying? If the most points you allowed in a game is 21 points so far, I mean, good luck beating that when they've got that offense, right? Like think about that. You just combine the two and think about it. I mean, that offense is going to score. That offense might score 21 by accident every single game. You know what I'm saying? Like, outside of a few select weeks, like they're playing a team like Miami. It's a divisional opponent, really good defense. You figure that game is going to be low scoring anyway. With just the way those two teams wanted to play football. The Ravens game, same type of thought. But like in most games, like the Bills are going out there and you're like,
well,
I'm expecting them to score close to 30, and even against great defenses like the Dolphins, like they're still right there. Like, you're playing all right. Like we're going to score at least 20 every game, and you're going to struggle to score 20 every game. So if we're scoring 20 every game and you're struggling to score 20. You're gonna win. You're gonna win a lot of football games. They're gonna be a tough out, no matter who plays them this year.
Who's struggling to score 20?
Everybody struggled to score 20 against Buffalo so far.
Well, look at who they faced.
Okay, well that might be a fair, but Kansas City shouldn't. Kansas City's got an explosive offense. Miami at that time had an explosive offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tua had thrown like 6 touchdowns. Passes in a game during that little stretch, right? So, I mean, yeah, we're only 6 weeks in, right? But they played at least 2 offenses that you look at and go, that's an explosive offense. Pittsburgh, sure, 3 points against Pittsburgh, not impressive. 7 against Tennessee, no, I'm not really impressed.
But I will say this:
still,
if you take away the first game against the Lions, where we gave up 35, which I felt like was all second half points. In my opinion, we'd be right there with the Bills at points allowed.
But the issue with that is our offense doesn't finish games the way the Bills does. Like the Bills' offense doesn't struggle. Like our offense, we got beat 16-6 in the second half again this week, or 16-7, whatever it was. Like, at some point that's got to change.
But you can't blame it on the team because I feel like
who else are you fucking blaming that on? What are you talking? Who else?
It's coaching. Yes, it's coaching. It's coaching.
Is Nick Sirianni telling them to go out in the second half and not score points, Daniel?
Is he telling the defense to keep the foot on the pedal in the second half when they're?
I don't give a fuck what he's telling the defense. Why is it Jalen Hurts in the offense going and scoring more points in the second half? Why you get outscored 16-7? Why you losing the second half every single week? How come you can't play a complete football game offensively with all those weapons? And Nick Sirianni, that's his offense. So
yeah, but but you've noticed just look at with your eyes. Look at with the eyes in the first half, they're aggressive. Second half, they play.
No, my eyes tell me things look broken in the second half. My eyes tell me things aren't being executed the way they need to be executed.
I totally disagree. They're playing passive.
Timing looks off. Things just look off in the second half with the offense.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Well, you can ask them. Look at the play calling that they do. It's totally different than the first half.
I know. It's always the play calling.
Well, what's happening in our first half of games compared to the Bills? We're up in every game. But we've only been in one game where we trailed in the game.
Yeah, but it's not like you're smoking people. You're fucking up 20-0 against your main rival. Like, keep your foot on the fucking throat and fucking run them out the building.
Exactly.
So why wouldn't you put on the throw? I don't care what the defense is doing. Why wouldn't you put on the throw? I want to put up 40 on them. Let's go score another 20 in the second half.
And what did I say? Coaching. It's all about the coaching.
That's the big plays are still there to be had. And Nick Sirianni's not telling them to throw the ball. You've got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Cowboys and all these playmakers. I don't give a fuck what the play calling is. Plays are still there to be made. Make the plays.
The plays are there.
You're an explosive play waiting to happen. Go make it happen. So Nick Sirianni's not calling 3-yard passes behind the line of scrimmage. He's not running the ball every single play. So you can't tell me what's he calling only plays where guys aren't getting open? I mean, A.J. Brown should be open by accident on most plays. You can't cover him. Not one-on-one. Not with a zone. Not anyway. Not anyhow.
Who's the person on the team who's supposed to make adjustments when the other team is exposing you on
I mean,
defense?
everybody, to be honest, and I agree with you that Sirianni's getting out coached in the second half. There's not the proper halftime adjustments going on. I agree with that, but it's not just coaching. The whole thing just does not look. It looks polished in the first half, and it doesn't look polished in the second half. And yeah, I agree with Greg. Definitely Buffalo for right now. That could change if we become a team now all of a sudden that can put together a full football game over the next few weeks. I think we're just as good as anybody in football. I would say give me Buffalo right now head to head, and I think we could beat them. Right now, I think we'd struggle to beat Buffalo.
I think it's asinine to say we're coming.
We'd let them back. We'd let them back in the game. Even if we'd go up 10 points in the first half, and then we'd let Buffalo back in the game. And the problem with Buffalo is if you let Buffalo back in the game, they make you pay and they beat you. And that's what I'm worried about as we get deeper into the year.
But then they kill themselves and let us back in the game because that's what they do. They allowed the Chiefs to get back in that game and score.
That game was tight the whole way. I mean, it really was. Like, what? Like, if you just watch it, like, I know that was like the game. That was the prime time, like the 4:00 game. I know everybody was watching. I mean, if you watch that game. I had the over in it, so I was a little disappointed with like some of the missed opportunities. But for the most part, that game was tight the whole way. Right? One team might make a mistake, other team makes a mistake. One team goes down and scores, other team goes down to score. One team delivers a haymaker, other team's delivering a haymaker, and it's good football, and it's what you expect from those two teams. Yeah. I thought it was a phenomenal football game, start to finish, and and then you get the finish that you get there. Buffalo gets their revenge, and it kind of sets up a sweet little storyline for the playoffs because, now, these two teams are probably going to see each other down the road at some point, and this is going to be talked about, and it's going to matter, and all these things matter, Football teams don't forget. They're like elephants, right? They never forget. You're always going to have it in the back of your mind what happened week 6, when we played these guys last, that sort of thing.
Yeah, but definitely, like, at least we agree that they're the top two teams, so whichever way it is.
We're the best team in the NFC. Yeah. We're the best team in the NFC, and I don't think Kansas City, like, when you look at Kansas City, their defense struggles at times. Like they looked okay at times against Buffalo, but Buffalo also, that game, that the first drive of the game, Buffalo stuffs that ball into the end zone if they just don't have the fluky little play there where Allen tried to run the option and then they pitch it and the running back wasn't ready for it. That was fluky. You take that out of you thinking like they were driving down the field that first drive. They probably punched that ball into the end zone. All of a sudden, that game's much different. But yeah, I mean, Kansas City's defense has been sketchy at times. Kansas City's kind of like the example for me where like their defense, it'll bend but not break a little bit, which is kind of how those old Eagles defenses used to be. And it's funny that Spagnuolo's there running a bend but don't break defense, right? But like they've got some guys that can make big plays. Chris Jones can get to the quarterback and things like that. But they're not solid, right? And they lost Tyrann Mathieu, which I think really has hurt them a ton. Losing him in the back of their secondary has just been, that's a tough blow to lose that guy. He's kind of the captain of the secondary and everything back there. And you lost him and it kind of, you're seeing it. So Kansas City for me they're probably the third best team. But yeah, I don't have them ahead of us just because I don't think their defense is on our level. Actually, I mean, I think our offense looked good in the first. I think our defense has been the better unit. I mean, I don't even know if that's arguable right now. Our defense has played like when you talk about the offense will have a great first half, and then we kind of let teams back into the game in the second half. Well, yeah, that's on the offense. I mean, we were up 7. We scored 17 points in the first half against Arizona, and then scored 3 in the second half. Like, at some point, like your defense isn't going to keep you in every game and be able to win every game for you there in the second half. You might have to slug it out with somebody at some point, and right now, I'm not comfortable with that idea. But also, we, I guess, haven't been in a position where we have to slug it out with somebody in the second half. So, who knows what's going on with that? I don't like the idea of it, but it is possible that they're getting up big and they're like, hey, let's not show everything we've got. We can kind of show it all off and go out and be flashy and put up 40 on somebody here and roll them out the building. But we want to kind of save some of this to kind of show it off as we get later into the year because we're going to need it all. And we just want to get better and better offensively as the year goes on. That could be the case, but I'm not a fan of that. Like, I want to get clicking offensively with everything we've got ASAP, and then good luck stopping me. Because I like, what if we show everything in the playbook to teams? Okay, then you still got to cover AJ Brown, and then if you're doubling AJ Brown, you're still going to have Devontae Smith 1-on-1, and then you're still going to have Dallas Goedert open somewhere, and then Quez Watkins, if you got a linebacker or a safety or somebody like that on him, and it's 1-on-1 down the field, good luck stopping that. I might have a big play there too, So I mean, like, I'm not worried. Like, I think we've got playmakers all over the field offensively enough where I'm like, yo, show it off. Like, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Why go sign a guy like AJ Brown if we're going to score 20 points a game? We're only going to play one half of football. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, go show that shit the fuck off. Smoke people. I want you to run teams out the building.
Well, we got update on the Phillies game. Bottom of the ninth now. 2-0 still Phillies. We're coming up.
2-0. Sir Anthony is staying in. Are we going with Eflin? What are we doing here?
Gotta wait for it to come in, but they did.
I guess I would think they go Eflin. I mean, he's been the closer, right? And they keep saying he's the guy. He's the closer. So.
I was gonna question the move taking out Wheeler after 83 pitches, but
I don't like that either. But I also see what they're saying.
Yeah,
I mean, like, again, what are you going to have the guy go throw 120 pitches and think like? I mean, you still have a World Series you're hoping to play. Like, you still might have a Game 5 you need him to pitch. So I mean, yeah, you gotta. They're going Alvarez. Oh, okay.
Well, check. I'd be fine with that, but. Yeah, like, hey, it worked. They got a 1, 2, 3, and in there with the.
I might have tried to let him go one more. I mean, 83 is like that's 93. Okay, 83. Yeah. You could throw 95 pitches and get me through 8. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but it's one of those things where I bet you he was like, let's hope we get the 3 outs right away because it'll keep Wheeler a little bit fresher because he only used 83 pitches rather than like 100 to 110 because maybe they're hoping that he can pitch game 4, of course. And the less pitches, the better, especially in a 2-0
That is possible. Yeah, they could be trying to say like that would have been something that was already talked about before the series, right? They would have talked about that, like, hey, if everything goes right in game 1, can you pitch game 4? Like, would you be good? Would you be able to start game 4? That's already probably been decided. So that could be the case.
In which the game will paid out there, and now we're 2-0 in the bottom 9. We just got to get these 3 outs now. But of course, Sunday night it was of course.
Look at that stat line: 2-0 Phillies, 3 hits for the Phillies, 1 for San Diego. Woo, man!
Well, the game started at like 8:10, and it's 2 hours or 2.5 hours.
So Paul George is there.
Yeah.
Jesus, I wonder. There's Bill Walton. I wonder how stoned Bill Walton is. San Diego, I bet you he's stoned as shit.
Yeah, but of course, this Sunday night, the Eagles played on Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. We came in
Alvarado. Oh, Jesus.
Yep.
Why would we go Alvarado? I don't really like going Alvarado. He's not been sharp, but I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, he's been he started out hot.
Yeah, well, in the postseason, he has not been solid so far.
Well, in the first series, he was lights out. And it's just against the Braves, he gave up 1 or 2 solo shots, but it's
it's been inconsistent. I mean, this is where like you need him. So he's going 3 batters. Who was up in the Padres lineup? Yeah, this is why I don't like to have to go 3 batters. Well, I think that's so stupid in the postseason. I want to be able to manage the game in the postseason. If I got lefty, righty, I might want him to go 2 lefties. I'm coming into my righty to get the 3rd guy. Fuck you. So they got the 9th batter. This is Nola.
Yeah, let's get.
They're going to stay down, and it looks like they're going to try to stay down and away from them. Aaron Nola's like, "Hey JT, this is how you get this guy out." Like, okay. How about the Nola family? If you're his parents, you got to be excited.
Especially for tomorrow, because he's pitching tomorrow.
Watch, like Austin probably won't even play tomorrow. Watch, Austin will sit. Like it's you know what I mean? Like no way.
Yeah, they'll put in like Jorge Alvera or whatever it is.
Yeah, you know they will exactly.
Yeah, but the Eagles played the Cowboys last night, Sunday Night Football.
Popped up out of play. 1-2. Let's go, boys.
Let's go. Of course, we got off to a good start. Of course, in the first half, everything was going smoothly with the running game, with the passing game. I think we had the 1 turnover early in the game. It was by halftime. What was it? 20-3.
Yeah, I think it was 20-3. Yeah,
20-3. Then, like you said, then it came in soft.
ground ball.
And at the
Bryson Stott.
quarter,
There's one.
yeah.
There's one, boys.
And in the third quarter, I felt like they kind of like played passive there, and then that's when they allowed Zeke to get going, and Pollard. They were able to be effectively run the ball. And so by the fourth quarter, it was 20-17. They gave up 2 touchdowns. But luckily, it seemed like the running game got going. We went back to the running game because I felt like the third quarter, we were passing early on downs and then running when we should have been running with how effective the running game was. It didn't help that Lane Johnson went out and then also Dickerson went out for a while. So both of them went out, but I felt like the replacements did pretty well. But the one big point that I was going to make earlier was the fact that Lane Johnson did a great job of picking up on Micah Parsons in the game.
Yeah, he was shut down.
We kind of let him come in aggressively, and then we just threw it at him rather than away from him and go away from him. So we let him come at us and use that against him because Lane Johnson was able to pick him up every time. And then I felt like Lane Johnson's been so underrated, even though he's been a perennial Pro Bowler. He's so like not talked about as much because of everybody else on the team.
Well, and people were mad when he was using like he got like it's so funny that like he's even like he was roided at one point and he's even better now than he was when he was roided. And you're like it's kind of funny, but maybe that's like people kind of like. You got these people that get that sour taste in their mouth anytime anybody, he was caught doping. Like, what do you think? People, you really think that grown men look like that naturally? You really think all these dudes aren't taking supplements of some kind? I mean, good fucking God. Jesus, use your head.
But of course, he got hurt, and then they had to plug in Driscoll, and Driscoll just couldn't block Parsons on the right side. So they started getting to us when we were passing and creating havoc, and then we couldn't get the drives going. That's why I felt like we should have kept with the running game, because if you would have had the running game there, it would have helped out because of them being over-aggressive on the right side, but we decided not to, and we paid for it. But then in the fourth quarter, we start driving, we start running the ball like I said we should have, and it's starting to work out great for us because they couldn't stop the run up the middle, just the delays. And then from there, it felt like Gannon decided, okay, I'm not going to play 15 yards back again. I'm going to be aggressive on defense. And that started to work again. We had 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter, 1 tip, and then 1 great play diving for the interception where it could have, if he wouldn't have gotten the interception, it would have went to CeeDee Lamb, who was wide open, and he could have scored on a touchdown. So it was one of those plays where we're kind of lucky the ball went kind of low, and our guy was able to dive for it.
Double play ball. Turn it, baby. Ball, we threw it away. Oh, my God. Jesus Christ.
But we held on to the game.
Why are you in the game? Why don't we have Sosa at third?
Jesus. But what are your thoughts on the Sunday night game?
I had it on the radio as I was driving back from Melbourne from the baby shower. So I had it on Sirius and listened to every play. Went back and watched, all the, everything I could find from a video perspective with it. So, I felt like start to finish, we felt like we would control the entire time. Offensively, there was some hit and some miss. And, you look good at times, you look bad at times. Jalen had some good balls. I thought there was some shaky things from Jalen, though, that maybe we haven't seen, a lot this year. A couple throws he really got away with. There was a throw in the double coverage. You had that ball not get picked off early. I think a big play to Goddard. Some couple things, and overall you looked at it, you went, I don't know if he necessarily played well, but he managed the game the way he needed to, and he continues to not turn the ball over. So if he plays the way he's playing with using his legs and managing the game, even when he's not having big games with his arm, as long as he's not turning the ball over, we're going to be all right. Now we're in a spot here with Machado. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's not the person you want to get into with that
Well,
one.
I mean, this is what I thought. Like, I don't understand. Like, if Eflin's your closer, just go with Eflin. Like, is he not your closer now? Like, I mean,
well, he didn't close. He didn't close
after written all over it.
Well, he didn't close last game, so I can only assume that he's not closing anymore after the shakiness that he did before, within St. Louis, the St. Louis series.
Challenged him 99 fastball middle in. Man, he didn't pull the trigger. This is how. But see, this was like in a game like this, like you give teams extra outs, and then in big league baseball, every time you give a team extra outs, bad things happen. I mean, it's how it goes. Pop up.
Matt said Eflin should be the closer.
Castellanos has it. Nobody's tagging. 2 outs. Let's go.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. That tagging. Just need one more out, and we clinch game 1. Get that early 1-0 lead in the series.
Now this guy, you don't want to throw a cookie to this guy because this guy can hit the ball out of the ballpark. He can beat you. It's just he's been struggling a little bit, but I don't want to just set it like let's not just throw 99 middle into this dude and expect the same result here. I mean. This guy will chase too. I'd throw some pitches out of the zone, see if I can get him to swing and miss right now. You know what I mean? Alvarado's got some good movement. Yeah, we don't have a righty ready to go here. Why don't you have a righty ready to go here? Like I would have is Bell a switch hitter? Or is he hit righty? I think he's just a righty.
He's a righty.
Why not have a righty ready to go here?
He's all power. He doesn't hit for contact well.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's the issue. That's why I don't like power against power here. Like, great, if he catches up to your 100-mile-per-hour fastball, he's 1 for 9 against Alvarado, and the only hit was a home run. He's got 5 Ks and a walk. But you're like, he catches up to your 100-mile-per-hour fastball. That shit's going a long way. Out of the zone. Out of the zone, please. Thank you. I like that. Okay. Do a back foot slider. 1-1. 1-1. Come on. Come on, baby. One more out.
If you're just tuning in, we're doing a watch-along of Game 1 between the Phillies and the Padres. We're also talking about, of course, the Eagles, and we're going to be talking about Week 6, and then, of course, NCAA football.
Swing and a miss. Good breaking ball.
We had a couple of upsets in the top 5 that we need to talk about.
What is wrong with Manny Machado's ears? Has anybody seen Manny Machado's ears? Like, what happened? Is that what happens when you just wear your hat down on your ears too long? For it's like, like little kids wear the hat on their ears so their ears are like looking, instead of the ears being, they come down like this. Is that what happens when you wear your hat for too long on your ears? 1-2. Got him. Yes, sir. Swing and a miss.
Let's go. Perfect. 2-0 Phillies win. Up 1 game to none.
He threw the back foot slider on the 1-1 pitch, and he was out in front, and they went right back to it. Throw it again.
Woo,
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
We got 1, 2, 3. Well, not one. We got 3 outs by him, giving up no runs. Shutout, 2-0 in this game. That's what you want to see in the first game of the series by your pitching. Not allow a run. It's very big confidence-wise for the team moving forward in this series.
And you got to, you're on the road, right? So always getting game 1, just like in Atlanta, right? We stole game 1 in Atlanta, and that changes everything in that series. And if you want evidence to see what I mean, look at the Houston Mariners series, right? The Mariners have the 7-3 lead in game 1 going into the 8th inning or the 9th inning or whatever it was in that game in Houston, right? And they let Houston come back and win that game 8-7, and that series is over. It was all she wrote. From that moment forward,
the confidence was too much for Houston at that point, and Seattle just couldn't capitalize on it.
It's just, like you have to steal one on the road, and like you can't squander an opportunity, right? Because you're not going to get another one. Once you have that opportunity to steal one, you got to steal it. And especially if it's game 1, because then you really put a ton of pressure on the home team to come out and win game 2. They know they got to go win game 2 now, because now you don't want to go back. You don't want to go on the road down 2-0 because you feel fucked. Right. So and everything. I mean, that it just broke Seattle's spirit. You could tell they had all this Mariner magic, right? That they make they had made the playoffs, all this Mariner magic, blow through the Blue Jays. and they're up 7-3 in that series. They get the game to a bullpen game with that's what you wanted with Seattle. They got the best bullpen in baseball, and Houston breaks their spirit. And as soon as they lost game 1 and blew it, it was over. Yeah. And so this is we've done it back to back. The Atlanta series, and now a gem from Wheeler. Look at that line: 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 8 Ks. I mean, that's what you're paying him for, right? That's your ace right there, baby. And Nola's been phenomenal too. I mean, it's almost like they're trying to one up each other, right? Like they're out here competing against each other to see who. And I'm the ace. No, I am. No, me. Yeah, who's the legit ace of this staff, right? It's awesome stuff right now.
Yeah, we're going to be jumping around today for the rest of the episode, but we might as well, since the game is over, we might as well jump to talk about their series against Atlanta and this game. But before we do so, how about you tell everybody about how to become an A2D member?
I don't know. How do you become an A2 member? Do I know how to do that? Oh, I'm sorry. I know how to do that. I'm just kidding. Become an A2D member like me. Daniel, are you an A2D member?
Thumbs up.
Daniel is. Okay, good. So become an A2D member like me and Daniel. It's only $9.99 a month. Your perks include appearances on shows, your members-only streams, shout-outs, weekly sports picks from the Money Pop podcast, Money Moss and the boys, including Willie Vegas. Yeah, that easy. $9.99 a month. Can't beat it. Best deal in the business, right? We're the best in the business with everything we do, baby, including having the best deal in the business. $9.99 a month. What other package are you going to get? All of that for that price. I haven't seen it anywhere, and I'm a complete degenerate, Daniel. So 7 more to go, baby. 7 more to go. Yeah, we've lost 1 game all postseason. I mean, what? Yeah, seriously. We're 2-0 against fucking who we beat in the fucking wild cards? 2-0 against Cardinals, and then we win 3-1 against the Braves. Now we're up a game against the Padres. So what are we? 5-1 altogether. 6-1 altogether in the postseason so far. You're 6-1.
Let's recap a little bit of the NLDS against the Braves, of course. We beat them. We beat them 3-1. I thought that the game 1 was the most important.
By far.
In Atlanta, we had Ranger Suarez pitching. He was shaky. Don't get me wrong, he was shaky, but he did enough to keep us grounded. And then the back,
that's like what him and Bailey Falter. That seems to have been their thing this year, right? Like keep you in the game, and you just kind of stick around. And if you stick around long enough, as John Madden used to say, he's got one of my favorite sayings ever, right? Madden, we got to honor the legendary late John Madden, right? But he used to have a saying where he talked about an old bologna sandwich, and Pat Summerall used to be like, what the hell are you talking about, an old bologna sandwich? He's like, well, it's an old bologna sandwich. If you let an old bologna sandwich sit around for long enough, he's like, after a while, it starts looking pretty good, right? Like that old bologna sandwich. You make a bologna sandwich, you put it in the fridge, go to sleep, take a nap, you come back at 3:30 in the afternoon, that bologna sandwich looks fucking amazing all of a sudden, a lot better than it did at 11 a.m. when you made it, right, Daniel? You look like a guy that's had a few old bologna sandwiches in your time. I'm just saying. Nothing personal.
Back in the day,
back in the day, I'm with you. You know what I mean. So it's one of those. So that's kind of a good analogy with this, right?
Yeah. I like how, of course, we've finally gotten healthy on both the pitching and hitting side of things. But what we started to notice the past month is their aggressiveness on the first pitch. For the at-bats of every hitter. We're going at them right away. We're getting at them and trying to hit the ball out of the park. We know that that's what we are, home run or bust. But, hey, what I'm
doing look at these numbers. 6 starts for Zach Wheeler since his return from injury, a 1.05 ERA with a 1.39 opponent batting average, 32 strikeouts, 4 walks, and his fastball velocity is up a full mile per hour, 95.9 before the injury, 96.96. So, I mean, he's pitching with his best stuff of the year right now, and that's good stuff. And we questioned for a little bit. We thought they could bring Wheeler back a little early, right? We're like, why isn't he pitching? What the hell? What's the deal? And give him a little bit of extra rest. You never know how much handy that can come down the stretch. They've been doing the same with Nola for this reason.
And he gets a lot of 1-2 pitch outs for batters. So it's like he gets them out right away by getting them to pop up or ground out, and that's what's creating him to get long.
Nola's another one, right? Like Nola's a guy that, I mean, he can Greg Maddux you in a hurry too, right? Like he's a guy that'll go out there and go 85 pitches in 7 innings, and you're like, okay, that was easy stuff. No sweat, right? Like
you look at Wheeler and you're like, damn, there's no way anybody else on the team is going to pitch any better than him. But then it's like Nola, it's like
they're trying to one up each other. Yeah. Nola's but Wheeler's going to go into that clubhouse and be like, top that tomorrow, buddy. What are you going to throw a no hitter? Like, you know, to go ahead and top that one. 7 innings, 1 hit ball. Yeah. Go ahead.
And then Nola's going to be like, come on now, I'm based on my brother.
I'm going to go 8 innings of 1 hit ball. I'll go 8 innings. I might give up more hits, but I'm going to go 1 extra inning, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's always got to do. But I love the aggressiveness. And then, of course, one of our side like polls that we have that we want to talk about. We were going to make it the poll, but then we're doing a watch along. And I felt like we should. Everybody tune in.
It would have been perfect tonight, wouldn't it? I mean, it would have been so perfect.
But like everybody, give us your opinion too. But the side poll here, Bryce Harper was worth every cent of what we paid for him and free agency and bringing him in. And if you looked at him in this playoffs, just the playoffs
alone,
5 home runs.
I think that was his 4th home run of the postseason. But yeah, he's hitting like over 500.
That was his 5th.
I thought the graphic on the screen when he hit it said it was his 4th of the postseason, and I was thinking was it his 4th or his 5th? But either way, he's absolutely raking, and they're coming in good times. Like they're coming at times like this one. Like again, a moonshot in a nothing game. You can kind of smell it's going to be a pitcher's duel. You're like, man, both guys have good stuff, and he pops a ball, and it's a good pitch. It's a fastball up and away, right? And it's like. He just, Bryce is so good. He's so strong, and if he stays on a fastball, stays on a ball, he can hit the ball out to all fields. And even in a big ballpark like San Diego, one of the places you can get him, you can hit a ball out to left field. You want to kind of stay away from the middle part of the park. It's really big in center and in the alleyways, but fastball up and away, and he gets enough of it, and it's. I remember I was yelling at it to go. When he hit it, it sounded good. You're like, oh, that sounds like a home run. And then you could always kind of read Bryce's body language out of the box, right? Like he knows I think I got that one, right? And he'll kind of do that little thing, that pose where he holds the bat and kind of starts doing a little walk. And he knew that one was either going to be caught or it's gone, right? So people are like, oh, he didn't hustle. Well, what's he? I mean, what is Profar going to drop the ball in left field? I mean, at that point, you're like, yeah, it's either caught at the warning track or at the wall or it's out of here. Yeah. So but. You kind of read his body language. You go, yeah, it sounded good, and then it seemed like it took forever, right? You're just like, that ball's so far up in the air. But I just remember, like, you could tell Profar was like, oh shit, like, right? And you're like, go, get out. As soon as it got out, you felt like the momentum swung. Everybody quieted down. The crowd was loud as hell before that. All of a sudden, they were just dead quiet, and you're like, hey, that's a momentum shifter, and that's what Bryce does. It's not just. The fact, look at his number. Yeah, the numbers are one thing, but it's everything about him seems to be energy and momentum. He can just shift the energy of a baseball game like that. And it's contagious, And then I love how grounded they stay in the dugout, right? They, Ken Rosenthal interviews him. He's like, hey, we got to stay on the fastball. It's a good pitcher out there. Got good stuff. We got to stay on him and be aggressive and attack when we can. And Schwarber, after he hits his ball, says the same thing, right? The attitude is there.
How important was it the fact that here's Schwarber was coming into this series hitting .058?
And you still only lost one game this postseason. And Schwarber's been the guy that
we've been talking about him and Hoskins.
But that's where Bryce really stepped up. Like Schwarber was struggling, and Bryce has really stepped up to be like, hey, jump on my back, boys. I got this. And that's what's like, I don't care about, I get it. There's things with Bryce when you watch it throughout a full season. There's going to be stretches where it's going to be frustrating. Ryan Howard used to do that shit where you'd be like, man, is this just Jesus? He's in a funk right now, and it's irritating to watch. 4 strikeout games and 0 for 5s with 3 strikeouts. Yeah, it can be irritating. But once the guy gets hot, you can jump on his back and things. Things look up in a hurry. And when they're hot at the right time, they carry you and they take you places. That you're just not going without them. And we were talking about it earlier when you look at his contract, and people are always bitching about the contract. I mean, the dude's on at what he's making $25.5 million a year or something like that, 24.5, whatever the average annual value of his contract when you break it all down. And you even talked about the final 3 years of his deal, he's making $22 million. I mean, Aaron Judge is probably going to go sign a contract where he's making close to $40 million a year. Shohei Ohtani just signed a $30 million, 1-year deal in arbitration. If Shohei hits free agency, who knows what the fuck he's going to sign for?
And right now, it seems like he might be trying to force his way out and be a trade.
Manny Machado's making $30 million a year, right? Like Manny Machado's making $30 million a year average annual value. So Bryce is making $5 million less per year than Manny.
And don't forget, Tatis is making $30 million just sitting at home.
Imagine what the contract that Vlad Guerrero Jr. might sign at some point, and Tatis obviously signed the huge deal, right? All these guys, imagine what Trey Turner might sign in free agency. Correa's a free agent again. Who knows what happens there, right? All these guys that you look at, and it's just you look at it, you go, look, in 5 years, what do you think that Bryce Harper contract's going to look like? Because I promise you, the best players in baseball will be making $35 million a year, close to $40 million a year, and you're going to look at that Bryce contract and go, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm not worried about the financial side of it at all. I said it when we signed it. The key to that contract was doing something like this in the first few years of it. He won an MVP last year. Okay, well, when you win an MVP, it's hard for – all right, he hasn't earned his money. He just won the fucking MVP award. What the fuck are we talking about right now? You win the MVP award, you kind of earned that money, haven't you? And now, you go win a World Series, he could be absolute dog shit for the rest of that contract, and he's earned every penny of it because you brought a World Series to town and, everything else that goes with it. And, then you talk about, like, he's kind of brought some excitement back, right? Like baseball was dead here for a little bit because we were just so bad for so long. And that signing finally brought some hype, where you're like, finally some hype, something to actually kind of make you a national story again. And it's all snowballed. You can't tell me guys like Schwarber signing here and Castellanos signing here and all those things happening didn't have a lot to do with the fact that Bryce was now here. It's an energy. Winners want to play with other winners. Guys that enjoy baseball and enjoy, going out there and they live for this every single day. They want to play with each other. And Bryce is a guy that people can say whatever they want. He lives for this. He wants to be out there every single day and he enjoys the grind of being, of what baseball is. And Schwarber's the same way. Castellanos is the same way. This team is perfect for Philly. Like it's really meant, this is meant to be to make a run like this. It's the perfect squad to go win a championship. Big picture, 20 years from now, this team's going to be loved with any group of Phillies team, that's ever existed if they close the deal.
And then they got the perfect manager to manage them.
It almost is. Yeah, it almost is the perfect type of guy. Yeah. Philly Rob. He's already got his own nickname. Philly Rob, right? He's already been christened with his own nickname.
Yeah, of course, since we've been on, he's had the interim tag taken off, so he is the full-time manager now. Fully deserves it with the
yeah, I mean, you had to happen, right? You knew it had to happen. Yeah. And you know what's funny about it is the guy understands. You also, you can tell he's a guy that understands where he's at in his career. I don't need give me a 2-year extension because hell, in 2 years I might be like, fuck it, I'm retiring. I got my World Series ring, whatever. If he wins the World Championship, the guy's probably like, all right, these final 2 years, I'm just riding off into the sunset, right? I mean, it doesn't seem like. You would think if he thought like, hey, I really want to be here long term, he could have worked out a better deal than just a 2-year extension. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, he's really earned it. Whatever he wants, he's earned it. So you kind of get a feeling he's like, yeah, let me be the guy for 2 years, and then maybe we can transition into whoever we need to transition into. Go get a bench coach. Obviously, he was the bench coach coming into the year, right? So now you're in a position where you can go get a bench coach that maybe you could kind of set up and kind of groom for that role that you really like, the idea of this guy, maybe he's your future manager. Maybe Dusty Waithen's the guy that you make your bench coach now. I actually really like that idea, Dusty's a guy that right? We've seen this. Don't get too cute. We just saw this with Thompson. Dusty's a guy that's managed at every level, had success at every level, career baseball guy. Now he's earned his stripes as a coach at the big league level. Why doesn't that guy deserve an opportunity to go be a big league manager at some point after being on this staff? He's been here from the beginning. Right? He came up when we sucked, and he's been here. We were bad. We were starting to get good. He saw the Bryce thing happen, and he's kind of been here through this whole entire ride as we've now gotten to this point. And then on top of it, he's got the relationship with guys like Hoskins and all these guys that came up through the system that he was a part of grooming as the manager there. So I think I'm open to him being my bench coach next year. I don't know if there's a name necessarily out there. Like, who do you look at and go, oh, that guy, be my bench coach? I don't know if there's a guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
But to this question, why they pulled Wheeler? This is my guess. He was at 83 pitches. It was in the 8th inning. You're up 2-0. He gambled at the fact that his relievers, Dominguez and Alvarado, would finish the game off, which they did. And then if you look at it now, he started game 1. Your best pitcher as Zach Wheeler. The assumption probably is that hopefully he'll start Saturday for a game 4. And then if it has to go to 7 games, he can start game 7. So
I guarantee you this. I guarantee you it was all set up. You know, like you think Thompson's managing shit by the seat of his pants. You know, this was all probably talking. Listen, if you can get us through 7, you know, and we have to lead, we have it set up. We want to go Alvarado. We want to go. You know, we want to go Dominguez, Alvarado. That's going to be our 8th, 9th inning. So I'm sure this was set up. You know, like. They knew what they wanted here. If you get us through 7, we've got the 8th and 9th inning guys set up, you know, the way we want it. We're going to go Dominguez, Alvarado in some order. Maybe they didn't know what order they were going to go, but they knew those were the 2 guys they wanted to pitch the 8th and 9th inning. You have to think that was already, you know, set up because these things that you're talking about, we're talking about. Hey, you know, if we get you through 7, and this was best case scenario. Not only do you get through 7, you only throw 83 pitches. You know, they're probably thinking, hey, you get through 7, you throw 95, 100 pitches, you know. Can you pitch game 4? Oh, yeah, I can pitch game 4. Well, now you throw 83 pitches. We kept you way under the number we thought you were going to be at. Now you got to love where you're sitting for game 4. And you got Nola going tomorrow. So think about that. I mean, you could really, like, go for the throat tomorrow, right? If you can win game 2 in San Diego with Nola on the bump and go home with a 2-0 lead, I mean, you're thinking, like, yo, you're going for the kill. Put your foot in your throat and choke the life out of them.
Yeah, those 83 pitches, when you look at it, like right now, if he pitches Saturday, that's on 4 days rest. But with him going 1 less inning, adding 20 less pitches, that's going to keep him a little bit more fresher for Saturday. And it's at home, so he has the crowd. He can pitch right away.
And you probably have something set up where either Syndergaard or Falter or Suarez, like that. This is where we talked about one of those 3. Maybe even Eflin comes back into that picture if he's not a back end of the bullpen guy now. But if you feel like, hey, you know, if you can get me 5 at that point and we can have the lead through 5, you know, maybe now I have it set up where Eflin can go a couple innings and now we're to Dominguez and Alvarado again, sort of thing. You might not even be worried about him trying to go get you 7 or 8 again in that game. Just get me through 5 with a 2-0 lead or something, you know?
That's the one thing that sucked late was the error. Just like you said, maybe we should
just spread a little bit. Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden it was 1st and 2nd with 1 out and Machado at the plate. And you're like, this is not where I want to be at. But, you know, Machado came up small for him. That's the one thing with Machado. Like, his numbers are always solid. But, I mean, you put me in a big spot. Who's the guy I want to – I'll take Bryce Harper at a big spot at the plate every single time because he lives for it. He might not come through every single time, but he lives for it. And when he comes through, you know, it just kind of reverberates. You know, it's one of those energies that kind of reverberates through the team. It's contagious. You know, it affects the entire squad. They love it.
Yeah, definitely so. I love just the
But to
energy.
be honest, Bohm should have been in the game there. I think that's the one thing the one move I would have been like, if I'm Thompson, maybe the one move he might even talk about after the game, if you could have it back. It's a 2-0 game. You're not expecting to go to extras. You don't need Bohm in the lineup to hit or anything. Why not go to Sosa there? Edmund Sosa to play 3rd just because he's a better defender at that point. You know, but, you know, you sit here, you know, everybody, you can Monday morning quarterback all you want, you know.
Yeah, definitely had me and Zach Kirsten too.
In Bohm's defense with that, anybody that's played baseball will understand that they have a shift on, right? So Stott's not at his normal position. Usually that ball's hit the 3rd. You're going to have a second baseman cover in the bag, right? Ball's going to be hit the 3rd. Your second baseman's going to come cover the bag because ball hit to the left side, second baseman's receiving the ball hit to the right side, shortstop, right? Because the shift is on. Second baseman can't get there. So now Stott has to be the guy to kind of come. And that throw is coming at a weird angle. If you're a 3rd baseman used to practicing that throw, hitting a second baseman running towards you at the bag. And now you're kind of, it's more like a first base, you know, it's really a weird throw, right? Like it's almost like a first baseman trying to feed a pitcher coming to the bag. But even that, he's coming towards you. So it's almost like a quarterback trying to hit a receiver, you know, is they're running like, you know, a deep post route. Like he's kind of, you're trying to throw a ball to lead a guy instead of him coming towards you. He's going away from you. I mean, you still need to make the throw. You're a big league 3rd baseman. But, yeah, it's a little – you know, I can understand why, like, Bohm, who's a guy that – you know, he's not a Gold Glover over there, right? Like, that's a play as soon as it happened. And I watching it with my eyes, as I see stop break to the bag, I'm like, oh shit, like that's a little shaky, and next thing you know, the throw's too far out in front. It's just a disaster. That's what happens when you put a shift on sometimes like that. But throw needs to be made. Bottom line, it's a playoff game. You need to make the play. One way or the other, play's got to be made.
We got bared out with the pitching the last 2
underrated play. Underrated play. At the end of that is Segura diving to make sure he keeps that ball in the infield, so that you can't, the runner that's going to second isn't able to advance to third. There, you don't want to have first and third with one out, and now a fly ball to the outfield, makes it a 2-1 game sort of thing, right? So that's actually a really underrated play, and it's something you maybe doesn't get enough credit because we were all pissed about Bo making a bad throw. Is Segura diving and keeping that ball in the infield, because that ball gets in the right field, you got first and third, and you might even have second and third. To be honest, if it trickles in the right field slow enough, right? I mean, you never know. You might have second and third now at that point. So yeah, things happen. It's playoff baseball. It's your heart's always. It's never gonna be easy, right? It's always gonna be heart thumping.
Yeah, and we definitely got this. But I want to go back to Harper because he struggled down the stretch when he came back from injury, and
which can happen. A guy like him that's all timing, that can happen.
And then as soon as the playoffs hit, he got hot, and they said it perfectly fine. In almost every game that they went through, he always swings at the first pitch, very aggressive. Half the time he misses, but then after that first pitch, he adjusts to the pitcher, and then he gets things going, and then he has his eyes dialed in, and he finds a way to hit the ball, whether it's into the field or home runs. But one thing about this Phillies team right now that I'm impressed with is we're not just hitting home runs. We're hitting balls. We're getting the ball into play. We're playing small ball a lot, I feel like.
Got a good approach.
Which it's great. Like the game today in MLB.
Credit to Kevin Long. Credit to Kevin Long, right?
And that's
I know a guy that you really love. Maybe that's the guy that you look at and you try to groom for the manager position, right? You talk about him finally getting an opportunity. Maybe you make a little deal with him, a little backdoor deal with him. Hey, you stay here. And when Thompson's deal's up here in a couple of years and he decides that, I'm going to retire or whatever, you'll be the first, you'll be the guy at the top of the list ready to get the job, sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely so. But I love what they're doing with the small ball. It's something that we're not used to with the lineup. They're just playing Alice Ward. This is the time you want to hit to get hot. Is this down the stretch in the playoffs? We talked about
this lineup to be hot right now with all these pieces. Oh yeah, you're dangerous because the pitching staff is clicking. All of a sudden, it's like both of these clicking at the same time. Bryce is, and the big thing with Bryce, I think that, more than anything, when you look at the playoffs, we talked about Schwarber not being hot. Reese was struggling. His one hit was the big 3-run bomb that, kind of changed, swayed the momentum in that Braves series in the Braves game. But still, Bryce was kind of the guy that was like, it's okay. I got this. We're okay here. And now all of a sudden, Schwarber, and again, credit to Kevin Long more than, not just the approach at the plate, but him and Schwarber have been working really hard to try to bust Kyle, Schwarber out of that slump and out of the funk. And they talked about how short to the ball he is now, like kind of like the little adjustments he's made. And all of a sudden he hits the ball further and harder than he's ever hit in his career, like the 120-mile-per-hour exit velocity and a ball that's almost 500 feet. Those are things the little things that you probably don't see when guys are working hard in the cage. Credit to, we know Schwarber's a professional, but credit to Kevin Long for being down there, for them being able to figure it out and fix it. And you're in a spot now where if Schwarber can get hot, Bryce is obviously smoking hot. That needs to stay the same. Castellanos is, it's not like he's, Castellanos has been closer to his normal self over the past couple months. You know what I'm saying? He's no longer, the guy that was just in a total funk to start the year sort of thing, right? So you're in a really good spot right now. You really are. The other thing I think is really underrated is I love the way that JT works the umpire behind the plate as a catcher. You really need your catch. It's not just about throwing out base runners and the way you receive pitches. It's about the way you work an umpire and that relationship with the umpire. And nobody would know that. You would say, oh, how do you know that, Zach? You're looking at some guy that umpires a lot of fucking baseball at all different levels. I'm high school and college, 18U, 16U. The best catchers, when I'm dealing with 18U ball and I got 16, 17, 18-year-old kids that are going to go play college baseball and go play at the next level, the one, one of the biggest things with them is they all understand how to build a relationship with the umpire and how to work that. Hey, that's just off the plate, right? That didn't miss by much, and the way JT works, like you saw tonight, Brian Knight was a little bit all over the place. It's tough back there. You got guys with great stuff, a lot of movement. They're so hard.
He wasn't calling the inside pitches, but he was calling the outside the line.
Yeah, he wasn't bad, right? But I mean, this is a playoff staff, and you get to know what they're going to call. You get to know things are going to be scrutinized, right? Things are going to be scrutinized at a higher level than they are. But trust me, the reason these guys are working these playoff games is because these are the guys that had the best ratings throughout the year, and all these things. It's these guys are the best umpires, the best of the best. There's a reason Angel Hernandez isn't working a playoff game. You know what I'm saying? And there's a reason that these guys are, right? Because you understand who the best umpires are in the league.
And then he was going to the game. He saw how the umpire was calling pitches, and then he adjusted to it and started hitting different points, and it was working. And you know what's
one of the things with umpires is it's funny. JT wasn't happy with some things, but you know what else? San Diego wasn't happy with some calls. Everybody thought that pitch that was down. Oh, he was calling the pitch that was at the knees, and everybody thought it was down. JT thought it was down when he got struck out on it. A couple other guys from the Phillies thought it was down. A couple Padres players got punched out at the pitch at the knees. They thought it was down, but it's consistent there. And the other thing with Knight is, the foul ball. It was a big at bat there with Soto. He calls it a foul ball on a 3-1 pitch, a little number out in front of the plate. That's not a foul ball. Everybody knew it wasn't a foul ball. JT's immediate reaction, he looked back and said, no. And then I love how he picked it up and threw it to first base. As a player, never kill the play, never die. Because if you pick it up and throw it to first base, at least now I know, hey, we got the out. So maybe it's reviewable. Maybe we can get it together.
And then if you look at Soto, he was running up. Like he thought it was he knew
it did hit him right. Yeah. He knew what the deal was. But to Knight's credit, and I think to the Cruz credit, they realized, we might have missed one there, and we can't. We can't go back and change it and review it now. So what always happens, and we even tell kids this, when I'm umpiring it, at the levels that I've been talking about. Listen, something like if there's a close pitch, you know what I mean, on a 2-2 count, and I don't call it a strike and it's close, and now it's 3-2. I mean, you as the batter should probably know, hey, a pitch that close again, you might not get the benefit of the doubt again. You're lucky that one wasn't called a strike. For whatever reason, I didn't. I thought it was off the plate a little bit or down a little bit, whatever. But hey, we all know that was really fucking close, right? And it's like one of those things. If you're Soto, now all of a sudden you already got bailed out. Everybody in the ballpark knows, including the umpire, that you didn't foul that ball. And now you want to try to take a 3-2 borderline pitch, and try to steal a walk. And umpires don't like when you do that little walk out the box with, it's 3-2, close pitch. I'm going to just walk out the box like it's a clear ball. And no, fuck you. Strike 3, go take a seat. Don't show me up like that. And especially after something like, had just happened the pitch before, where you already got lucky. Everybody kind of knows you already should have been out there. You really think you're not going to get punched out on the borderline? Yeah. That's good umpiring. That's the way that's supposed to work. And, that's, what helps there is JT working the umpire. If JT doesn't work the umpire the way he does, that might not happen. But JT understands how to do it without being disrespectful. You never see him get thrown out of a game. You never see him and an umpire actually going at it. But I promise you, there's subtle communication. And with playoff games especially, because there's so many extra cameras and all that, you saw it. You were able to see it a lot today after his strikeout, and then in the innings afterwards, as he went out there defensively. There's an art to that. And the best catchers in baseball, they do it perfectly. And I'll take JT over anybody, I'll take him over Nola that's catching, or Alfaro that's catching for the Padres, and I'll take him over anybody catching for the Yankees.
And let's move back to the Braves series with JT Realmuto. One of the very underrated assets of his game,
stealing bases,
is just his speed, the inside the park home run. Inside the park home run. It was made because of how quick he is.
Yep.
He made
very athletic for a catcher.
He made up his mind right away when he saw that the center fielder wasn't going to get the ball, that he was going around the bases no matter what. He didn't hesitate.
And then he had the infield single later on in that series, right? Yeah. Later on in that game.
Because he was able to use his speed to get up, he hustled and he got there. He that's something unheard of that you don't see from the catcher position, is that speed that he has. And let's not just mention the fact that how many catchers are going to see hit a hit inside the park home run in a game, let alone a playoff game?
Athletically, the only who he really reminds me, athletically speaking, because he's a total package. But athletically speaking, he reminds me a little bit of Jason Kendall, which is a name you'll remember. Played for the Pirates for a long time, but Jason Kendall was a guy that was athletic enough. He used to hit leadoff for the Pirates sometimes. He'd hit in the 1 and 2 spot because he was a guy that was athletic enough, had enough speed, he could steal bases, things like that. Now JT's a way better offensive player, all the way around, can hit for power and different things like that. But athletically speaking, Jason Kendall was one of the few guys that you looked at back in his prime and went, yeah, this guy, man. Infield singles, things like that. He could do that, right? He could hit a little soft ground ball. You think, oh, I got a catcher running, I got time. And next thing you know, he beats the play to first base. You don't pay attention to him over there. He steals a base. And JT's the same way. Very methodical when he takes his time to steal bases, but he doesn't get caught very often.
Who better to know when to steal than one
of
the best catchers in the league when it comes to throwing guys out? Because he's already on defense thinking about, okay, I need to throw this guy out or keep him honest. So then on offense, when he gets hit,
quickest pop time in baseball. Yeah. And trust me, that's something that's starting to reverberate down because all these catchers that I work with, when and I talk to them, hey, who's the guys that they're having you watch? Who's the guys that your coaches are having you look at? And they all say JT Realmuto is one of the first guys they talk about because it's kind of that he's kind of created the new art to what it's all supposed to be, the quick pop time. And he used to not want to one hop it in there, right? It'd always be get the ball there in the air. JT now everything's a one hop to second base, and it's not necessarily about whether it's one hopping or how pretty it is, how quick he gets it there. And I think his pop time's 1.7, which is unheard of, 1.6, something it's anything under 2 is considered elite. And his is 1.6 or 1.7, which is fucking unreal to think that in pop time, for people that don't know what that means, that's the time from the time the catcher's catching it to getting it out, from the time it's released out of his hand, that's the pop time. And think about 1.6 seconds or 1.7 seconds from the time he's receiving a pitch to actually releasing the ball to second base. Fucking insanity.
Definitely so. But of
course, they said him and Pudge. How about that? If you're a catcher and the only other person that to do something that you've done is Pudge Rodriguez, you're in some pretty elite company. Pudge was the only other guy to hit 20 homers and steal 20 bases, and I think throw out 20 runners in the same season. That's fucking crazy stuff.
Definitely now. We just need 3 more now. 3 more.
3 more, baby. 3 more.
To the World Series. But it's
I told you I was kind of joking last night and trying to puff it all up and be all excited that we're going to sweep them. But if you win tomorrow, you realistically could. You really could sweep them if you win tomorrow.
Because then you go home with games 3 and 4, where the fandom has
3, 4, and 5 are actually at home, right? 3, 4, and 5 are at home, and then 6 and 7 back in San Diego. I
think that's in the World Series. I think that's just the World Series.
It's a 7-game series, right? So what happens?
It is.
Yeah, so usually the way a 7-game series works is the first 2 are at some place 3, 4, and 5, at the other place in 6 and 7 are back where it started. The only series I think the NBA did the NBA even get rid of it? I think the only league that still does it was the NBA. They would be the ones to rotate 5, 6, and 7. But I'm pretty sure 3, 4, 5 are in Philly.
I'm gonna check it out right now. See what they have listed. No, you're right. Okay, they changed it. It's games 3, 4, and 5. And then 6 and 7 and
6 and 7 back. So even if you go up 2-0 tomorrow, you've got 3 games to play with in Philly. You could even drop a game there. As long as you go 2-1 in Philly, you win the series. You don't even have to go back to San Diego.
Yeah. You know what? Like I said, at least want to get 2, and we got the one that we want here in San Diego. We want to get the
Do you think about not throwing Nola now tomorrow and saving Nola for game 3?
Or do you go for the kill?
Do you go for the kill tomorrow? I like going for the kill tomorrow. The issue with that becomes if something happens where Nola gets beat, now man, I'd really like to have Nola available for game 5 or something. I don't know if do you think you think Nola could still go game 5? Nola would be the one guy I might be worried about pitching on short rest.
Maybe he's going to go twice. So maybe instead of game 5, do you
maybe
think
throw him 6?
Maybe 6, and then you have him 6, and then 7 would be
that might not be a bad idea, right? Because you're hoping we're up 3-2 coming out of Philly,
Yeah.
one way or the other, right? Like even if we lose one, it's like, all right, you know, we're 1-1 going to San Diego. Now worst, you know, coming out of San Diego going to Philly. Now worst case scenario, you're up 3-2 going back to San Diego, and now you've got Nola ready for Game 6, and that's where you got to win that series, right? You'd be like, all right, now you know, this is the money game. You know, you got to go do it now. I'm okay with that, but yeah. Tomorrow, yes, you could kind of play around depending on what happens tomorrow. And maybe the bats wake up tomorrow and you get, you know, 4 or 5 early. Who's pitching for San Diego tomorrow? Musgrove?
No, pitching tomorrow. Musgrove's Game 3. Darvish went. No, Blake Snell.
They got Snell tomorrow?
Yeah, I believe it's Blake Snell.
So you can get the Snell. We can get to him. Seen him a couple times this year. I know we had the one game, I think, sometime in the summer where we played him or something out in San Diego where it was a pitcher's duel. He shut us down or something.
It was Nola. It's Nola and Snell, and then more than likely Game 3 on Friday is going to be Musgrove and Suarez.
I mean, really, like tomorrow. I mean, if the bats wake up though, right? You're up like 5-1 or something like that after 5 or after 6. You know, like you don't necessarily have to stretch Nola tomorrow if the bats could wake up a little bit. But you're always worried about scoring runs for him because it seems like we never do. But that wasn't the case in the Braves series. We put up like 5 or whatever in his final start there. So you know, continue that trend where you score some runs for him. You don't have to necessarily stretch him out. And you can kind of go, okay, if we can have you go 6 and throw 80 pitches through 6, now I can have you pitch Game 4 have you pitch Game 5 in Philly because just like Wheeler, you know, we didn't feel like we stretched you out too far in your first start. You know, you could have Wheeler go 4 and Nola go 5 if you really wanted to.
Yeah. Now, before we move on to NFL Week 6 and NCAA football, of course, let's talk about Noah Syndergaard and how he did in game Game 4 of the NLDS.
Made that trade at the deadline look really, really like that. I remember all the talk at the deadline was
those 2 pieces, Syndergaard and Marsh.
Marsh has been huge, right? Yeah, that Marsh being a part. Yeah, Marsh coming over. We got Marsh straight up for Mickey Moniak or something. What the hell? I mean, Jesus Christ.
It was kind of part of the same trade, but in that 2 separate.
But they were 2 separate trades, right?
Yeah. But they did it the days apart. But we got Marsh. I think we got Marsh and Syndergaard 2 separate things. I think the Syndergaard one.
We gave up 3 players to get 2 of them. Pretty much is what happened.
Yeah,
we got Moniak and Marsh straight up, and then we gave up. We gave up a prospect. 2 prospects for Syndergaard or something.
Don't forget, we got David Robinson too.
Yeah, that was a huge pickup.
And
who knows where he's going to fit in? That's another weapon I forgot about having in the back end of your bullpen.
He's on the roster. And he's on the roster.
Right. I mean, how awesome is that?
And he didn't have to pitch, which is good. He'll probably – I wouldn't be surprised if he pitched tomorrow. But, like, just look at Syndergaard. A lot of people wrote him off. Like, he wasn't anything special. He did so for us since acquiring him via trade. But then he did okay. He did okay in the bullpen.
At the deadline, though? What was the big talk at the deadline? The whole thing that I remember hearing going about was Dombrowski wanted, if they were going to trade for somebody, they wanted to trade for somebody they felt like could start a playoff game. You know, it needs to be an arm that we feel like can start a playoff game. Not necessarily an ace, but we at least need to trust you to start a playoff game. He starts a playoff game, pitches really well in the game, you know, better than I think.
2 strikeouts in the first inning, and he gets
this is exactly why we went and traded for you, right? Like, are you a guy that's going to be my top end of the rotation? No, but if I need you to start a playoff game, you can, and you can be effective, and you can get guys out, and I can trust you in that role. And that becomes super valuable at a time like this. You know what I mean? Because he might start another. You know, he might start a game here in the NLCS. You know, it's just, you don't know who pitches game 4. You know, if Wheeler can't pitch game 4, if you win game 3. Why not throw Syndergaard game 4?
Yeah.
Right? Like at that point. And then let Wheeler pitch 5 if you need to be. And if not, you just set up your rotation for games 1 and 2 of the World Series where it's Wheeler Nola again. You know? And you're really sitting pretty at that point. Because if Suarez wins you game 3, I don't even see the point of starting Wheeler game 4. Go ahead, start Syndergaard, start Falters, start one of them. And now I've got Wheeler on full rest for game 5. And the whole plan is it doesn't get back to San Diego, but if it does somehow, now Lola's there for game 6. And if it gets to game 7, now you're like, well, fuck it. You know, we might lose the series, but that's all set up beautifully. It's just so perfectly set up at that point.
And the crazy thing is,
but
when looking at
statistically speaking, if you win Game 3, you're not losing the series. That's only happened one time, and that was the Red Sox Yankees series from 20 years ago.
If I look correctly, we did not use Gibson at all against the Braves, right?
Which is where he might be the guy. Okay, maybe then you start him Game 4, right? I mean, there's another option you don't know, and at some point you've got to pitch him. Oh, he struggled. Okay, well, I know guys struggle. Okay, listen, he's been pretty solid for most of his Phillies tenure. I know he struggled a little bit down the stretch, but why not throw him Game 4 if you win Game 3? Absolutely zero pressure. It's another guy where you're like, go ahead, why not? No, why would you throw Wheeler Game 4 if you're up 3-0? That's the dumbest idea ever.
And then I believe we didn't use Barely Falter at all either. Am I correct?
Yeah, we talked about this is almost perfect. This is what we talked about coming in. Look how deep our pitching staff is. I mean, it's so deep. You've got guys like Gibson, Syndergaard, and Wheeler, or Gibson, Syndergaard, and Falter, that could literally pitch out of your bullpen in long relief at any point, or be a spot starter if you need it to. It's just so beautiful how you've got your bullpen set up.
I think that's what the point is there. I think that they're in the bullpen to be those long relievers in case you give up a lot early and you need a guy
that game's coming. The game hasn't come yet, but that game's coming where your starter only goes 3 or 4 because it's a 4-4 game or something. Both offenses are smoking the shit out of the ball, and it's 4-4 going into the 5th. And you need to go to somebody that can get you 2 or 3 innings, and that's where a guy like Syndergaard is perfect.
I think we were going to do that last game when we took Syndergaard out, but we were up 4-1 and then up 8-3. We kind of didn't need to because we already had a lot of runs going up. But these are fresh pitchers that have been used, which is
and your bullpen's so fresh. I mean, even you're looking tomorrow. Obviously, you would hope Nola goes pretty deep tomorrow. Goes at least six for you, hopefully. But if you get the 3 and your bullpen's still pretty fresh, I mean, you really have a lot of options. Suarez could go 3 innings. Syndergaard could go 2. You could have Eflin go an inning there, and now all of a sudden you got 7, 8, 9 set up with Robertson, Alvarado, and Dominguez. In some order there. And think about that 7th, 8th, and 9th. Robertson, Dominguez, and Alvarado with a couple other guys that, if need be, can step in. But I mean, that's probably what you say. Get me into the 7th inning, and I've got 3 guys that I feel like, Robertson, Alvarado, Dominguez. If we set it up one way or the other, depending on what the matchups are, we love all 3 of those guys in those spots.
No, I agree with you on that one. That's a strong point. One part of the team that we thought was kind of a weakness going down the stretch has become a very good beneficiary for the team with how they're playing. Of course,
as long as you don't have to go to guys like Andrew Bellotti. You know what I mean? Once you got to go to guys like Andrew Bellotti, you're kind of fucked. But in the postseason, you're like, I really like if it's 7-0 in the 6th inning, go ahead and throw Andrew Bellotti out there. But other than that,
and then he has a really good. I look at the whole 2 series in the playoffs. A lot of the home runs that we've given up are just solo shots. They're not with anybody on base, which has been lucky.
Is Connor Brogdon still a part of the bullpen? You know what I'm saying? Like guys like that. You're like Bellotti and Brogdon need to stay out of as many games as possible.
And Brogdon had a great outing in Game 4. Well, he had a
which is great. You're like, okay, great. We were up 7-3, right, or whatever. Had a big enough lead. Again, a great low leverage spot to throw him into. But you don't the idea is if you're in high leverage spots, you don't want guys like Bellotti and Brogdon in the game. Those are your mop up guys. We got a big lead. Go ahead. Or you're down 7-0. Go ahead. I need you to eat a couple innings for me because we're getting blown out. That sort of thing. But for the most part. Yeah, I mean, your bullpen set up where you want your starter. If you can get me at least 5, if Wheeler or Nola go and you say get me at least 6, 7. If 7 if we're on a really good night like tonight, get me 7. But for the most part, get me through 6 and 7, 8, 9 set up.
And it's always good for pitchers when they're coming into the game with the lead. We've got ahead of the Cardinals and Braves early in every game, except for Game 2 and the one loss that we had, where Wheeler was dealing. It's just that.
Even that game, it was nothing going. I mean, and when you think about it, you're like, think about it, you're like, the reason that game ends up the way it does is because Hoskins. I mean, there's 2 outs. There's 2 outs in that inning. If Hoskins makes that play. You're out of the inning. I mean, at that point, there's 2 outs. Just smother a fucking ball and keep it in the infield, for God's sake.
They were going to get 2 runs anyway, but it would have.
Well, you never know. I mean, if he smothers that ball and keeps it in front of him in the infield, even if you don't get the out at first base, they at bat with the next guy might go different. You're not, there's no guarantee at that point that you pitch him the same way and he gets a hit, right? I mean, you just don't know what happens there. Everything could change in that situation. But bottom line is,
with
that
how
you need to make that play.
But with how Wright was pitching for the Braves, no one was hitting anything off of him, and
Well,
that
Sure,
was one.
You're not going to win if you don't score. Sure, we got shit out 3-0, but
but that was the one thing.
But you know what I'm saying? When that ball got by Hoskins, it deflated everything. It let the wind out of the sails. The crowd was into it. All of a sudden, they're pissed. They're booing. It kind of just you could feel that you realize we're going to lose this game because the momentum had just shifted to a point where. Oops, yeah, that's what happens. Playoff game, it's nothing game. Little thing like that shifts everything in the other team's favor, and that's how you win a game. For the most part, those the two mistakes was the Hoskins play there, and then the Bone play tonight. But it's neither one. The Hoskins play cost you, the Bone play doesn't. So they've evened themselves out at this point, I guess.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah, but moving forward, I like their chances in here, and then depending on who wins on the NLCS side, it'll be interesting to see how we match up with them. But
give me either one. I mean, we talk about the Yankees. Obviously, you want the Yankees just you want your revenge from 2009. Now, that'd be nice, right? Yeah. Go get your revenge from 2009. Thompson spent a lot of time in the Yankees organization. Be kind of a nice cherry on top for him, right? A lot of things there. You always like to beat the Yankees, obviously. Fuck New York. Fuck the Yankees. Fuck all of it. Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, of course. We've always been a little brother to all the New York teams. Yeah, the New York gets all the attention, and Philly, it's we always seem to live in New York shadow. So fuck them. That'd be perfect. But at the same time, Houston, I'm not I don't hate the Astros. I'm not a Houston hater. Actually, they're one of the teams in the American League I like. I love when they win because it pisses off all the haters, which is phenomenal. Love it. But yeah, there's going to be a ton of people with Houston. If we're playing Houston, going to be a lot of people that fucking they can't stand Houston because of everything that happened. But that's so funny to me. Oh, well, they were cheating. Are they still cheating? Because they still are a fucking phenomenal team that wins 100 games and goes to the World Series. So unless they somehow are still beating on trash cans and getting away with it, I think that whole narrative got put to rest. Like, as I was trying to tell everybody then, the Yankees were doing it. The Dodgers were doing it. I mean, hell, if everything tells you everything you need to know. When Beltran came over there from the fucking Yankees, wherever he was at, he was like, hey, what you guys are doing is outdated. Let me show you the new way everybody's doing shit. Baseball's dirty. Just like when the whole league was sauced on steroids in the fucking 90s, and people want to be pissed about it. When 98% of the players are taking steroids, get the fuck over it. Grow up. Okay? It's $1 billion industry for a reason. This type of shit that's going to happen. It's gamesmanship. It's one-upsmanship. Once you realize one team's doing something, one organization's doing something, you got to try to find out, how do we do that too? It's just the way it goes. But history with both teams, obviously. The Yankees, I mean, you could go back to the 50s with them, right? They beat us in the 50 World Series.
2009 World Series.
They beat us in the 09. People are like 1950. Jesus Christ! But for all you old heads out there, we got Phillies fans that go back a long, long time. Yep. The Yankees beat us in the 50 World Series. They beat us in the 09 World Series. So, we're 0-2 against them in World Series. We owe them one. It's about time we owe them one there. And Houston, people that are, I guess you don't have to be an old head, but if you're old enough, you'll remember the 1980 NLCS. Still to this day, probably the greatest 5-game series that's ever existed in postseason baseball. I mean, four of those 5 games go to extra innings. Pete Rose runs over Bruce Bochy to win a game in extra innings for the Phillies in that series. Nolan Ryan took a 2-1 lead or a 2-0 lead or something into the 9th inning of Game 5, and he had like some sort of crazy record of like 88-2 or 91-2 or something crazy. Taking a lead into the 8th or 9th inning of a baseball game, and the Phillies come back and beat them. And there's some history there. And now the Astros in the American League, and it'd be something different. We'll play them in the NLCS to get to the World Series. Now you go play them in a World Series, and I guarantee you that the NLCS from 1980 will be referenced a ton throughout the broadcast of that World Series if it ends up being Philly and Houston. But I'm happy with it either way. I would have been happy with the Guardians too, because you got the Francona kind of tie-in too. 25 years ago he was the manager here, and that tie-in. But let's be honest, nationally speaking, if you want TV ratings, if you want eyes on it, Phillies Guardians was probably not the best World Series matchup. You'd rather go Phillies Yankees or Phillies Astros. That'll bring a lot of eyes. There'll be plenty of people tuning in. Tons of star power.
Keep it on the East Coast. Yeah, keep it on the East Coast.
Right, tons of star power with all those teams. And if the Yankees are playing, you know that you've either got people watching because they want to see the Yankees win, or people watching just because they can't fucking stand the Yankees. Yeah, they don't even have to they might not even like the Phillies. They just can't stand the Yankees. So, yeah, either way, it's going to be fun. I mean, this is all – you can't have the Padres go to the World Series at this point. Fuck the stupid – what are we going to have, a rematch of the 98 World Series, Padres-Yankees? Get the fuck out of here.
Let's transition from the Phillies because we're having a lot to talk about. Of course, when we come on next week, with depend on how the series is when we're on next week. But let's talk about, of course, a little bit about Week 6 and NCAA before we wrap things up for tonight. But before we do that, how about you tell everybody about Manscaped?
Manscaped. I guess the premier, when you come on a company of this kind that caters everything to men from a shaving perspective and all that, it's the premier company out there right now. And you can get 20% off plus free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. It's 20% off plus free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life.
Of course, we talked about it earlier. The Eagles moved to 6-0 with the win over the Cowboys. We also talked about the Bills beating the Chiefs 24-20. Looking back at some of the other games on the slate,
Steelers beat the Bucs. How about that game?
Especially with the comment that everybody thought we heard Tom Brady say, "I didn't leave my wife and my kids at home to have us lose to the Steelers."
I don't think he actually said that, but my favorite meme.
But he was thinking it. He was thinking it though.
My favorite meme was the one I saw going around. There's a meme that Patrick Mahomes shaking Tom Brady's hand and them like having a hug or whatever at midfield.
Yeah.
And the meme goes, trust me, baseball cares about TV ratings, as does like the rest of the country. Trust me, I don't know if the rest of the country wants to watch Phillies Guardians. They'd rather watch Phillies Yankees. And if I'm going to go win a World Series, I want as many people watching as possible. We went through this with the Phillies Rays series, where it was the least viewed World Series in baseball history. I don't want that. If I'm winning a World Series, I want eyes on it. I want people to know. I remember that this is it's something that needs to be memorable, and I want it to be talked about on a national level. Just like us beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl. What better team to go beat? People going to remember it for years, talk about it for years. It's not going to get any bigger and better than that. So, but the Packers look bad, right? The Bucks, they look bad. But the Brady Mahomes thing, the meme I was talking about, it said, Mahomes goes, "Hey Tom, I'm jealous," and Tom's like, "Well, 7 rings is a lot," and Mahomes goes, "No, the divorce." Oh, Tom, I'm jealous. Oh yeah, 7 rings is a lot. No, I was talking about the divorce.
No, it's the opposite with the two, because Mahomes can't keep his wife away from the game, and Tom's wife wants to be far away from the game as possible.
I mean, I don't know. Like, think about this. I mean, think about a Tom Brady Gisele Bundchen divorce. That's gonna be like $1 billion divorce. That's gonna break the Tiger Woods Elin Nordegren record for how much money in a divorce settlement or something. I mean, that's a lot of money getting thrown around there. Holy shit.
How much you want to bet there's a prenup there? Because, of course, she probably makes almost as much as he does.
Yeah. She's got her own money, too, sure.
Yeah.
You better hope there's a prenup, because Gisele's the type of bitch, I guarantee you, she'll air all of his dirty laundry. He don't want his dirty hair. We know Tom Brady's the last person that wants his dirty laundry aired. He's private. Yeah. He don't like any of his shit out in public. She'll air all that dirty laundry. That Brady brand, that TB12 brand's worth a lot of money. Watch her come for half of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think that divorce will get ugly.
And with the
Bucks,
like
Johnny Depp, Amber Heard type of ugly.
Yeah, and just like Joseph said, with the Bucks, red zone defense sucks. They give up a lot of points, and then on the offensive side, a lot of things.
They can't score. They have no weapons.
They got weapons, but they lost all their O-line. They got Jansen retired.
They got no O-line, but
Jansen retired. One guy's out for the season. I forget who it is. And then Tristan Wirfs has been bad on an injury. So
Fournette's a shell of himself. Fournette's like not the player he was years ago. So they really their running game is. They
just can't.
Godwin's okay, I guess, but I don't know. That receiving core, like Evans is again. People still act like Mike Evans is the guy from He looks like he's kind of taking a downturn a little bit. He can have big games still, but it's like he doesn't dominate consistently the way he did. And I think when he had Gronk and all Antonio Brown and all those other guys last year, it becomes much easier for you to dominate when you have your mismatches. But all the attention's back on you again. It's just hard for Godwin and Evans to attract all the attention, and then for other guys to.
Well, Evans has always been the same. Evans has always been the same type of guy. He's that down the field type guy. He's 6'5", so with the speed, so he can catch it down the field. They just don't throw the ball to him half the time because Brady's running for his life with the O-line, trying to throw it elsewhere. They need to play
a West Coast system, and they're trying to throw the ball down the field. Godwin's another guy. Godwin's not a West Coast receiver. He's another guy that wants to make a big play.
Well, no, he's the West Coast. He's all about catching in the middle of the field, moving up 5-10 yards, go in.
The West Coast guy is Scotty. What the fuck's that little white dude's name? Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller. Yeah. Scotty Miller. I mean, he's really the guy. Like he's little Wes Welker. Julian Edelman. Like that's his little West Coast control the middle of the field type of guy. Godwin's just a guy that can kind of do a little bit of everything for you, but. I mean, I guess if they had their way, Godwin would be making big plays down the field. They're almost forced to play this type of system because their O-line is so bad.
I just feel like they're not taking enough shots out to Evans. When they try to force Evan the ball, he makes big plays and they score. And just look at the game against the Chiefs. Even though the Chiefs won, but they were down and they were throwing it to Evans because they knew they had to. Even in double coverage, he was catching the ball. I feel like they don't throw it to him enough. He needs more than 5 or 6. They need, that's what it is. 4 or 5 catches a game, or targets a game. And then the funny thing is, you see Cole Beasley sign with them for a week, and then he retires. He knew the writing was on the wall.
He probably walked into the locker room and was like, "Yo, this is a fucking mess. Get me the hell out of here." Brady's probably in there cursing everybody out. He's like, dude, you're playing with like 3rd and 4th string offensive linemen nobody ever fucking heard about. And Brady's like, I need protection. Somebody protect me. Like, no, bro, like we just pulled the dude off the fucking street corner. He was bagging groceries at a Publix the other day. What the fuck you want from us?
Yeah, you had the Falcons go in and defeat the San Fran 49ers.
The Niners were banged up. The Niners had like 6 different defensive players missing. The Niners were really banged up. The Falcons aren't as bad as I think people want to make them out to be. They're well coached. Mariota isn't awful. He's never been awful. I mean, he's never, I guess, been good, but he's not bad. Like you're like, all right, like he'll keep you. You can win games with him. It's the Falcons aren't terrible. They're getting better. And I've always been a fan of Arthur Smith. He was on my list for head coaches last year when we hired Sirianni.
They know what they need to do now, which is run the ball effectively. They got Mariota who can run on the go, and they finally got Kyle Pitts now who can make plays for them because they've been banged up at the wide receiver. Patterson's out. They're starting to get like a little bit. They're not going to be a playoff team, but you look at the record.
They're going in the right direction, right? They're building something finally.
Yeah, they're getting young guys involved.
I think they were hoping they were going to be bad because then they could get a quarterback. But at this point, they look like they're going to be a team that's close to 500. Win 7 games, go 7-10 or something like that.
A lot of the games are close games that were close wins or losses. They're battling every game. They're playing well. They just don't have the firepower of the pieces explosively on both sides of the ball yet. They'll get there. It's going to take a year or two, but you, as an Atlanta fan, you like what you're seeing from the team. Of course, you wanted that number 1 pick because you want that quarterback of the future, but you got to like what you see from the pieces that they have right now. Because they're battling. They're not giving up. They're trying to come back and win in every game, and that's why they're in there. And that's a good sign for a team who predicted to win 3 games, and they're already at 3 wins right now.
Carolina's the team that looks like they're going to have the top pick in the draft. And they're going to trade McCaffrey here at some point, and that's the move I want to see Howie go out and make. You want to make the slam dunk move and kind of just complete this total package. Go, we're a Super Bowl team now. You go get Christian McCaffrey at the deadline some way somehow. Yeah. I mean, like really. I mean, just think about how dirty. Just like it's everything. It's complete now. I mean, you got Sanders and McCaffrey in the same backfield. With Jalen Hurts and all the different creativity and the things you could do in the running game with that and the passing game for that matter. That's the move that just completes everything. And it seems like the total Howie Roseman sort of move when you think about it. He's got assets now. I doubt he would give up a first-round pick, but I guess you could if you needed to. You know, like, yeah, I guarantee you off on one of your first-round picks, they're not getting a better deal from somebody for him. You know, so it's like at that point, I mean, if that's the move that you think completes everything, which I don't see, that's the big. I don't know if we thought that was going to be a move you could make coming into the year, and now that it's on the table, I think you just have to. It's you just got to pull the trigger. Yeah, it's just one of those things. You're in a situation as a football team, a lot like 2017 when he went out and made the trades that he needed to do to get when we got Jeffrey and when we went and got fucking Jay Ajayi. You know, it's like little things. Except Christian McCaffrey's probably a bigger impact player than either one of those guys for a team that in 2017, like you really needed Alshon to come be an impact guy for you. McCaffrey's just coming into a team that's already kind of full of weapons, and now you're just like, ooh. This is kind of the bow on top of the Christmas gift. It's kind of, you know, it just kind of like puts the cherry on top for you. And you're like, oh, look at all these new sexy toys I have. It's just so much fun if you're all of a sudden Sirianni to go, I got McCaffrey now too. Jesus, this was unexpected. But we're already 6-0. We're really clicking. We really like what we're at as an offense. And now I get to add this guy into the mix. Just seems like the perfect move.
A couple of the other games, of course, but before that, I'm going to say there's a team that's distracted more than Carolina. I would say it's Denver. We're getting Russell Wilson, Devontae Williams hurt. They were fine. They lost to the Chargers when the Chargers had half their guys out. Were playing bad. And
you want to talk about poor coaching? Nathaniel Hackett is just. I mean, this dude, his dad was a former college head coach for like 2 different teams, and then was an NFL assistant for like 20 years. Are you sure? Are we positive? Like, do you tell me this dude grew up with like in a football house with his dad as a coach? Because I swear this dude has like he football 101. Like I don't know if this dude would understand football if it smacked him in the face at this point. What the? Are you kidding me? What the hell is going on with that dude in Denver?
And then he went up against the Chargers head coach, Brandon Staley, who
he's another Stunad. What another fucking moron.
But of all games for him to have a great coaching game, he had it against Denver, who's so.
Did he really? To me, I watched a game where it seemed like both coaches were trying to do everything they could to lose a football game, but one of them had to win. So.
Well, I could edge to Staley because of the special teams play that they had. The special teams did great.
My unborn child would have a fucking edge over Nathaniel Hackett as a head coach right now. Okay, so like let's be honest there. I've got a daughter doing 2 months, and she would be running circles around fucking Nathaniel Hackett.
And this is why I predicted they would be last place at Denver. I thought it was all hype. They weren't going to gel together. It wasn't going to be the same. A lot of people wanted him to come here, and they gave up way too much for Russell Wilson. And it's just, I don't think the system works for him. And instead of adjusting it, they're trying to force it. So, and I just think it's like past that point with them. One of the last Patriots, Bailey Sapp beat the Browns 38-15.
He looks really good, doesn't he?
He's starting to get going because they focus on the run and they do a lot of play action with Zapp, and he's getting more and more comfortable as they go. I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking maybe when
Matt Jones might not get his job back. Yeah,
because he never played well to begin with. He was just a good game manager, Matt Jones. But Zapp is a good game manager, and he's starting to show that he can throw the ball and be a good complement to this running game with Harris and Stevenson.
And we know Bill Belichick does not give a fuck. He's not going to just show loyalty to Matt Jones just because. He's going to be like, hey, fuck you. I've done this before. Been there, done all that. This guy can play quarterback for me because he's winning football games right now.
Yeah. They're going to go behind hand, and right now it's the Bailey Sapp. I believe it's 3-0 as the starter or something like that since taking over late in that game against the Packers, I believe it was. So you can't kind of hold him to that. The last game, I'm going to –
As long as they're winning, he's going to start. I mean, that's just the way the Patriots are run as an organization.
The last two games I'll run into real quick. The Jets beat the Packers. Zach Wilson had 10 throws. That's it, and they were able to manhandle the Packers 27-10. Breece Hall looks like a great pickup, mid round draft pick for them at running back. He's running the ball great. He's just a great runner for them. They're starting to get going. The Jets are 4-2. If you said that they would have 10 passes and they would handily beat the Packers, I would have said no way. I would have bet money on that against that. But they just know how to handle the ball, play defense.
My guy. Actually, it's funny. My gambling guy that we always talk about when we talk about the soccer picks actually had them. That was one of his value plays. He said, "Take the Jets on the money line." He's like, I think they covered. He's like, but they could realistically win this game outright. Yeah. They're playing well, and the Packers are playing like dog shit. It wouldn't be crazy to think. Now, I don't think anybody thought 27-10, but he's like, it's it wouldn't be crazy with the way because Green Bay looks awful. I mean, they just look so bad.
The defense is playing bad. I feel like the one thing when I look at them on offense, I'm like, why isn't Aaron Jones running the ball 20 times a game with how dominant he is? And even A.J. Dillon, down the stretch last year, those two were money and running the ball. And what are you doing? You're not running him at all. Like I feel like
the Packers are an instant fade right now. I mean, the Packers are bad. Like I don't think they have it. I think the scary part for them is they don't they're just like they don't know it's broken and they don't know how to fix it right now. And that's just a tough spot to be in because Aaron Rodgers isn't used to that. And since Matt LaFleur got there, the Packers haven't been used to that. They've been really fucking good.
Rodgers had 41 passes. Dillon had 10 rushing attempts, and Aaron Jones has 9. That's unacceptable for a top 10 running back. And
they were also down like 17-3 or something in that game. I mean, so I
don't give a shit with that running game that they have, and I know teams can run on the Jets. It's like if it's the fourth quarter, yes, I get it. You want to run the ball, but if it's early in the second, early in the third quarter, you're down 17-3 per se. You can still run the ball. One score, one touchdown makes it 17-10. You're only down by a touchdown. You can still run your offense, but they don't do it anymore. I feel like they get away from their game plan, which has been the reason they are winning.
They're not used to playing from behind, and that's always been a Rodgers thing. Yeah. When they play from behind, he throws the ball. Like they're not used to playing from behind, and I don't like Rodgers. Rodgers is that guy. Like there's some ego there. He loves being the guy that all the attention's on. I think he I can't believe I'm saying this. He might be the curse on the team right now. It's like you're ruining a team that is, to me, a better running team than it is a passing team right now. Regardless, you lose Devontae Adams. Once they lost him and you thought that the number one receiver was going to be Allen Lazard, who is playing well. He's playing well in the passing game, but it's like you got to go a little bit more to the running game. You got to lean 60-40 running, I feel like, because you looked in the past couple of games, they were running the ball great. And then they have games like this where it's like, we're not going to run the ball. We're just going to pass, and then run once every 5 attempts. It's just like piss poor, in my opinion. Especially when you want to keep the defense on the sideline because they're playing so much because you're passing, going 3 and out, and then their defense has come back on the field, giving up a lot of yards and points. The one that didn't help the defense out is to run the ball, have long drives, and their defense, they just can't do it. And that's why they're having these games. The last game we're going to talk about, of course, the Ravens and the Giants. The Giants find another way to win. They'll lose the majority of the game. They just stay there. It's like they're just staying there, hanging in there, like off the hook. Do that old bologna sandwich reference. Yeah. What we were talking about earlier, the John Madden, the old bologna sandwich reference. You let them sit around long enough, they start looking pretty good. And it's like, oh, damn. We let them hang around, and then all of a sudden at the end, they beat you. That's kind of what that's been the whole season so far now. It's hard to maintain that, but yeah, I mean they definitely.
That defense that defense has looked good. Carson turnovers.
Dable was a great hire, obviously.
Yeah, and he's found a way to
change the momentum and the culture.
And he's found a way to get the ball to Saquon Barkley to get him into space, get him effective. He's run the ball well. He's been able to open up passing lanes for Daniel Jones, where he's not turning the ball over that much because he's not having the ball in his hands 40 times a game. He's kind of shaved off some of the pass attempts of that. They're making it more run based with Barkley, and it's just having a great effect on the team. And, not every team is pretty, but they're getting the W. That's why they're 5-1, because they're hanging the game, and at the end they steer it from right under the opponent. Which in this game, Lamar Jackson made 2 costly interceptions that kind of flipped the game upside down because of the pressure of the defensive line of the Giants. Instead of throwing the ball away, he threw the ball and it got intercepted, and that's what set up the winning touchdown by Barkley. It's just bad decision making on the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens have a team where it's like they can kill you 1 minute and then they could get killed.
Their defense isn't. They've got a couple of Patrick, but top to bottom, that Ravens defense isn't. Like every year, like top 10, and not quite where they usually are defensively. And I mean, Lamar, it's just a weird thing. Like everything's flashy, but he got like throws in that game. Like I think we were watching that game live or something. The one dude that was wide open. After making a little move and he makes a bad throw. And like, there's just things there where maybe he's, you think maybe he's trying to force it too much. There's all the contract talk, being 3-3 contract, and he's betting on himself this year to go out and be this guy. And they're just kind of and like, oh well, I don't have a good defense. Oh, well, fuck you. You're the guy that wants $300 million. Fuck. Get the fuck out of here, Patrick. Fuck you. And it's like you got the Giants hanging around. You had a chance to put my game away multiple times, by the way. Multiple times. They had a chance to put my game away, and they just didn't. It ain't on anybody but Lamar Jackson at this point. He's the guy running the offense and supposed to be the big money man. So, those things are kind of you're in a tough spot if you. There's a lot of outside noise there, right? There's a lot of everything kind of going on that not help that picture. You've already got. The AFC is loaded with good football teams. Really, really good football teams. It's the NFC that's kind of a weak conference this year.
And then luckily for the Ravens is that division, no one really wants to run away with it. And they're already struggling again.
Yeah. It's like Cincinnati. They struggle. They came back and won their game against New Orleans, but that was a game they looked like they were going to lose for a while. Maybe that'll finally get them straightened out.
And just like I said, they're 3-3. The Ravens are 3-3. The Browns are 2-4, and the Steelers are 2-4.
Yeah. And you're like, really, when you look at it. Cincinnati hasn't looked good at all. The Browns are just like, okay, you're kind of what we expected, kind of hang around. Not be bad, not be good.
How crazy is this? Imagine if every team is close come week 12 when Deshaun Watson comes back and they're only a game or 2 behind without all those teams are playing right now.
Baltimore might be the worst. Baltimore might be the best 3-3 team I've ever seen. I mean, like, literally. Like, you look at them, you're like, how are you 3-3? Are we kidding me right now? You're 3-3. The most that's the biggest underachieving disappointment of the season right now is Baltimore being 3-3. It's just like, what is that? You lost to the Giants. Who else you lose to? They let the Bills come back and beat them. Like that was a game. They're winning the entire game. Lose too early in the year.
Miami, 21-point lead, and then they blew it.
They blew that game. Miami's a good team, but you definitely shouldn't blow that game. Right? You blow a 21-point fourth quarter lead. Speaking of defense, right? How's your defense blow a 21-point fourth quarter lead? I don't care what your offense can't blow a 21-point fourth quarter lead. That's unacceptable. That happens, right? So they're a little bit of a mess. The NFC, I mean, we're just so far and away the best team in the NFC. It's hard to I don't even know who. I guess San Francisco for me is second, just because I think we're really healthy. They're the second best team. But when is they're fully healthy? They're never fully healthy. They've never been fully healthy since Shanahan got there. They're always hurt. They always have a big name player. One of the really good players that's hurt and banged up and missing time. So,
I think they're number 3 because the problem with San Fran is the best player on offense is Debo Samuel.
Right. And when your best player is not your quarterback, it's.
They haven't been finding ways to get him the ball like they did last year, and then you got Mike McDaniel, and you saw what happened with that.
Yeah, I think the offensive line probably don't figure all that out. But I mean, you got to stay healthy. You can't have 6 defensive players. When Joey Bosa they suck. Like the bottom line is they're like 5-13 or something like that when Joey Bosa doesn't play. It's just not good. And like he's a game wrecker. He's a guy that when he's healthy and he's on the field, he's just a complete game wrecker. But you got to be on the field. And I used to say this when Doug Peterson was here. At some point, and then Sirianni gets here, and magically when Doug Peterson was here, we always had guys banged up and hurt. It seemed like, right? Or somebody was always banged up, somebody was always hurt. You always had guys on the injury report where you're like, this guy's, good chance he's going to miss some time. All of a sudden, Sirianni gets here, and they change a little bit. I think, when it comes to coaching, you talk about how you prepare practices throughout the week and things like that. I think a lot of that has a lot to do with how what teams stay healthy and who has the most injuries and things like that. And whatever goes on in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan and all those practices, and how they run their practices offensive and defensively. Ever since he's gotten there, they're always hurt. Every single year they have guys banged up. They got another guy that tore his ACL and is going to miss time now. One of their best defensive backs out with a knee injury. So. But you look at San Francisco. Like, at least I've seen it with my eyes that when they're healthy, I know it's there. The Rams look like they're a mess. Oh, great! You beat Carolina, and you struggled. They struggled early in that game. And then finally ran away with it at the end. But like the Rams, I guess if they get everything figured out, but they don't look like they're anywhere close to getting it figured out. Matthew Stafford looks hurt and injured, or something rattled. I mean, there's just something not right there. He's just not making good decisions, making awful decisions, as a matter of fact. And some of the throws that he usually makes, like he's trying to make and he's not making them. And it's like, there's just something there. Yeah, I know he had the elbow surgery and all that. So I don't know. Who? I mean, Cowboys don't scare me. We just fucking beat them and kind of were in control of that game, start to finish. I guess we'll play the Giants and see where that's at. The Seahawks are playing well, and that's a good story with Geno Smith being the best quarterback in football at this point. But I mean, like, is that? I mean, are you kidding me right now? How long is that going on? Let's be honest there.
I think he does better. I think he does better than Russell Wilson this year, and they're going to continue.
Which is funny, yeah. He really does have the best line of the offseason. He hadn't started for a team in like 7 years, and the reporters are talking about everybody. But I didn't like that. I mean, it really is. It's like, it's a good line. Go ahead, go for it. Play with that chip on your shoulder. What do you got to lose? Yeah, it's a fun story, but let's be honest. What are they doing? They're going to go win the Super Bowl? I mean, get the fuck out of here.
They'll probably be
fine. Then you look at the NFC North. Green Bay's not good. So you're like, okay. Chicago stinks. The Lions, okay. The Vikings, the Vikings are probably the second best team. If you look at it, they're probably the second best team. Have to be. San Francisco's 3, I guess, at this point for me.
Yeah, 4-game winning streak.
Too, but you beat them already. But they're still the clear number 2.
4-game winning streaks. The Eagles beat them in week 2.
I mean, that's
things out. Yeah.
If that's your biggest pleasure, I know the Vikings are the best team in the NFC, and I know we already beat them at this point.
Yeah,
who's scaring me? I mean, it's Tampa. If they get things figured out, of course, they're always dangerous and Brady. But Todd Bowles, you never know that dynamic. He's the first-year head coach now. Who knows what's going on there with all these moving pieces and all the moving parts. They might sneak into the playoffs, but I just don't think they're the juggernaut that that they were. Again, we talk about Atlanta is better than people thought they were going to be, but they're not going anywhere. New Orleans isn't going anywhere. The Panthers stink. So I mean, really, it's you and it's Minnesota right now. And if the Niners get healthy and can stay healthy, maybe the Niners work their way into that picture. And I guess if the Rams figure it out, you're like, they can always the Rams can always put everything together in a game, and you're like, oh fuck, they're a tough win, but still, they don't scare you right now. Nobody scares you. It's like you're by far and away the best team in the NFC, and it's like everybody else is like, that's a good spot to be in. It's a really good spot to be in. And if you look at it from an expectation standpoint, I think right now it's really, really, really close to Super Bowl or bust. I mean, it's but it's getting more fucking close.
Yeah. The last game I want to cover before we get going, college football. Tennessee shocks Alabama.
Is that a shock? I mean, is that? I mean, I guess you have to see it happen before you believe it. But
exactly.
But Tennessee has looked every bit the real deal so far.
Yeah, right? Tell me about the wide receiver. That wide receiver, he balled out that game. 5 touchdowns.
And I mean, Alabama, they struggled at times, but the defense it's really looked good for them. You know, again, a top 5. I think they're actually like the number 1 defense in college football coming into the game. I think they were like number 1. And
then you'd have to think that Hooker would be one of the nominees right now for Heisman. But
yeah, he's the front runner all of a sudden. Yeah, that was all my gambling guys. I was talking to all my experts that break down the games and stuff. They were like, what's your thoughts on it? They're like, DVOA is the number that they look at analytically when they're breaking down these games, and they talk about defensive units. If you're like number 1 in DVOA, that's the big thing. I don't know. That's what all the gamblers look at. They make money doing it. I guess I should pay attention to it. But yeah, I mean, that game is screaming under. Take the under. This is going to be one of those like defensive type games. You wanted to Tennessee was going to be able to score against Alabama's defense, and like Alabama's offense really hadn't looked like anything special so far. Bryce Young looked magical, but unless he pulls the rabbit out of his ass, he did against Texas, they just struggled for the most part. Instead, that game turns into a fucking slugfest where they score 101 points combined. Yeah, Hooker all of a sudden is the front runner for the Heisman Trophy.
And then you got the missed field goal by Alabama that gave them the chance to go ahead and win the game.
Always like for Alabama, it's like they spent all this money everywhere else, and they just 2 kids off the street to come kick for him. We're not really going to need you ever, so like here, just the kid can't make a field goal for more than 38 fucking yards, but he's somehow kicking for Alabama. You're like, are you kidding me right now? Like, you can't make a field goal from 40 yards? Now we got to punt it. Punt it. It's a 43-yard field goal. Punt it. Got to punt it. Like, what are you doing? Are you kidding me, right? How you going to win games if you can't make a 43-yard field goal?
Yeah, definitely so. But other than that, I'll wrap things up for today's show. We're at the 2-hour mark. Of course, we'll be back next week. We're going to start the NLCS and see where the Phillies are at that time. The Eagles are on the bye this week, so we won't have much to talk with them. So we're talking a little bit more about the Phillies. Maybe we'll see how the Flyers and the Sixers are. Not much to talk about the Sixers in the debut today. And then talk about Week 7 in the NFL as well. See how everything looks. The Eagles don't come back until Week 8 when they play the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. So that's going to be a fun game off the bye. We actually have a favorable schedule the next 4 or 5 weeks up until we get to the primetime game against the Packers. But other than that, I'll give the floor to you before we get going.
Yeah, we got to get going. Yes, I think I have something to do now for the next couple hours.
Yeah. But of course,
you look like a B-Dad for that movie Back Back. Like 100 pounds.
Yeah, but of course, this is the weekly roundup. I'm Dan. This is Zach. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. We will talk to you guys later. See ya.